Enter into a new dimension of gaming and push your PC to the extreme with uncompromised graphics performance. So compact you have to see it to believe it. The way you play will never be the same.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls watching at home on your mobile or wherever you are in the world, welcome to finals week for season 4 of the XP Women's League Rainbow Six Siege competition. And what an absolute cracker of a lineup we have for you tonight. Joined with my fellow caster. We'll be sailing on this maiden voyage together. It's our first time working together. Mr. Proto, mate, how are you?
I am good, Doc. And are you keen for tonight's matchup?
Mate, I'm exceptionally keen. This is a series that I've followed relatively closely over the coming weeks with the work that I've done with XP Esports, and just such an amazing bunch of ladies that are battling it out for tonight being the third place, the coveted third place title. So expecting some pretty good things. You know, we look at the teams that are battling out between Calypso and Wrens and what we're going to be experiencing. There's plenty to talk about. Now, obviously, 8 teams within the league with Nocturnal and Elevate battling it out for the number 1 spot on the main channel, and Wrens versus Calypso on the battling for third are happening on this channel. Now, I don't know about you at home, but the best way for me to watch both is to have both tabs open, so getting 2 times the action and double the fun. So an amazing lineup of content for you. Now, just to look through the league format of how this has been working for the team so far, they've been at it for quite a number of weeks now, with the group stage being 7 weeks worth of BO1, working through into the semi-finals, which is a full week of BO3s, and now we are where we're at tonight, the finals week, which is a best of 3 winner takes all competition, Proto.
I mean, definitely over these last few weeks, we've seen some very riveting gameplay with the semi-finals happening last week, obviously, and it all coming down to the match we're going to see tonight. Calypso versus Wrens, as we've already said, battling it out for third place, and this is definitely going to be an interesting matchup for everybody involved. Now, the prize pool here for this tournament, 3,000 AUD all round. Thank you very much for that sponsor from Ubisoft. The champions will be walking away with $1,500. Runners-up will get 1,000, and third place, which is what we are battling for tonight, is going to walk away with 500 big ones.
Absolutely. A big thanks to Ubisoft for providing such an amazing cash flow for all our gamers competing tonight. And of course, it wouldn't be a women's league without ZQ Racing coming to the party, offering a ZQ Racing gaming chair valued over $300 to the season MVP. That is one player who has exceeded expectations for the entire season. We're walking home with a brand new racing chair to complement their gaming setup, and what I'm assuming is many RGB lights as well. So let's get back into who is the teams, or what do they look like? Who are we talking about? Before we do that, I think it makes total sense to look at the final standings, of course. And of course, the top 4 qualify for the finals. So Nocturnal and Elevate will be battling, as I said earlier, on the main channel on XP Esports, battling for number 1. And tonight we'll be checking out Calypso versus Wrens, as I said, for that coveted third spot. So looking at the final brackets and how the matchups have played out, Nocturnal defeating Wrens 2-0, Elevate taking out Calypso 2-1, giving us our grand finals, Nocturnal versus Elevate, and third playoffs, Calypso versus Wrens.
And definitely looking forward to the match tonight. Obviously, Calypso and Wrens are two of the pretty well sort of paced teams in terms of versing each other. Now, the last time that these guys actually met and versed each other was on Oregon, and Calypso actually walked away with that victory. It was 7-4 in favor of Calypso. So I'd imagine we're definitely going to see a bit of rivalry here tonight due to the fact that Wrens want to take that map back from them. And I'm assuming it's going to be an absolute banger to watch. So I am very, very keen.
Yeah, and to that point as well, these guys and girls rather have gone up against each other before, obviously went in the way of Calypso, but when we look at the match history prior to that, the only teams that both of these teams essentially have lost to has been Nocturnal and Elevate. Every other team that they have come up against that they've won quite comfortably when we look at the track record. And, talking about the teams and even the players within those teams, when we start to break down, the kill rates and even their KOST or the cost players, we've got some really serious stats here with KD is pushing, looking at Fishnoodle 1.58 in a league of this caliber. That's really something to talk about. There seems to be a definite consistency. Of course, Rappel, Fishnoodle, Bosch, Diana, Time for Pie is the lineup with their subs being Om Nom 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 Nom. And as I said, when we look at the stats and their cost players, the kills per round are exceptionally high. These are the ladies that know how to frag. They know how to play the game. So they've come in here with a mission. They want to take that third place. They've done it before. The question will be, can they defeat the Wrens a second time, I guess?
And 100% looking at the Wrens roster here, obviously we've got a couple of really big hitters in forms of Az and Angry, as well as the fact that Burner Bear actually has a fair bit of competitive experience sort of under her belt and sort of using to her ability to benefit her, obviously, in this matchup. Now, we definitely could see the Wrens walk away with this. I imagine that it's going to be a close game, and I definitely think we could go all the way to the third map here tonight, especially if the Wrens get fired up. So, it's definitely no sub play though for them. So it's a core 5, which means the chemistry is obviously also going to be a large factor for their sort of competitive ability tonight in this matchup. So I'm very, very keen to see what the Wrens bring to the table.
Yeah, totally. And the Wrens are no stranger, as you said. They're seasoned veterans. And when we look at the previous teams they've played, under different banners, formerly Kingswoman back in season 2 and 3. So they've been part of the women's league for quite some time. So that's definitely going to play to, at least what I think, to play to their strengths tonight. And being, as you said, that core roster, the synergy, that team efficiency is definitely going to be there. So it'll just come down really to what the map looks like. Is it going to go in favor of either team? Have they been successful on these maps before? And how that synergy sort of develops. So speaking of the maps, we can have a look out here, how it's all rolled up. So we're going to Oregon for our first map, Clubhouse for our second. So Oregon being Wren's pick, Calypso obviously picking at Clubhouse with the decider over at Cafe Dostoevsky. Can never pronounce that surname, that last part of it right. But over at Cafe as a decider, if we do go to that best of 3 that we were talking about earlier. So we mentioned again and again that, these two teams have come up against each other. They came up against each other in Oregon, and Calypso did walk away with the W. So are we going to have a rinse and repeat? Have Wrens gone and taken that VOD, reviewed that, seen where they could improve or potentially work on those sort of plays and their comms, etc.? So it'll be interesting to see how this map plays out for them, Preto.
I'm actually surprised to see that the Wrens picked that map. As you said, they've obviously gone off and coming into this match, they obviously feel a lot more confident in terms of playing Oregon to go and pick it against Calypso, the team that did beat them 7-4 on that map. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what Wrens have gone and come up with in terms of trying to battle Calypso on this map, as well as Clubhouse. It's going to be an amazing match tonight.
Yeah, and that's an interesting comment you made. I mean, for a team that, you know, they essentially lost against the same competitor they're going up against tonight, that's the first pick for them is to go back there. So I would like to believe that they've taken that VOD, they've reviewed it, and they've gone, you know what, we're now so confident in the plan on how to attack and defend this map properly that we're not going to let the Calypso repeat and do what they did last time. We're coming back with fight. We want that third place, and we're going to show them by stomping them back on the map that we lost only a few weeks prior.
It's definitely going to come down to who is fired up for tonight. Obviously, who wants it more is going to come into the equation. And I'd imagine that given the fact that they have picked it straight away, it's going to be something spectacular. And I'm hoping to possibly see some absolutely bonkers middle floor bomb site holds. You don't see too many of those in competitive play, especially in meeting. I'd imagine that they're going to have a cool meeting strat possibly. It's going to be awesome to see what they've gone off and worked on. Now, Clubhouse, I haven't seen too much. Doing my homework, I know that Calypso do enjoy that map and Cafe as well. I'm not too sure what we're going to see from either of these teams, but I'd imagine both of these teams are going to be completely competent on every map bought here tonight, and it's going to be very close either way, especially if Wrens have gone and put the work in and they want to start things off by picking that Oregon and taking Calypso back.
Yeah, totally. And as I said, these girls, these ladies are seasoned veterans. They know how to play these maps. It's all going to come down to team synergy and how their strategies that they've practiced in scrims and teardowns and all those sorts of things, how they come to life, and whether the opposing team, whether they be Wrens or Calypso, is prepared to counterbalance that. So it's going to come down to map decision and obviously the map bans and how that plays out for each team, because we do know that certain certain team members rather have specific operators that they do prefer over the other. You can kind of pick the top fraggers out of the bunch, the ash mains, if you will. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, what the band structure looks like, and how each team is going to approach these maps.
And definitely, I think that going into this, statistically speaking, Calypso will be sort of slightly higher favored to win it. Obviously, last week, almost reverse sweeping Elevate in week 9 in the semifinals. So, I mean, you definitely have to take that in consideration as well. Calypso sort of almost beating out one of those top 2 teams in a reverse sweep. So, I mean, that isn't something you usually see. And if a team of, well, this caliber is going to be doing that to a team like Elevate, if I was Wrens, I definitely would have that in the back of my mind tonight, and I would be thinking about that pretty much during the entire matchup, especially going to your map first that you've already lost on.
Absolutely. And, commentary about top teams, even when we look at Nocturnal, that both of these teams have come up against, with Calypso going 6 and 8 against one of the teams that are competing for that number 1 spot, whereas Wrens going at 4 and 7. So, I mean, albeit it's only a couple of rounds worth of difference, but, does that then translate into, a team that potentially is a little bit more prepared to, I guess, outfrag or outplay those higher performing teams? And does that translate into how they play the game tonight against the opponents that they've versed before? We don't know all these things. We're just the people that talk really loud into the microphone sitting at home. It's all going to come down to how the players play each map. And I'm sure everyone at home is as keen to check this out as we are tonight.
It's definitely going to be an interesting matchup between these two teams, and obviously the sooner we get into it, the better it will be for everybody involved. We get to talk quickly and the teams get to decide who is the better at the end of the evening. Obviously, we're going to be starting things off at Oregon, so it's going to be good tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As we know, it's a best of 3 tonight. We are just waiting for the players to get into the lobby. It wouldn't be like the players without having 1 or 2 running a little bit fashionably late, the stylist entrance of, I'll get there, just give me a few moments, getting those last minute preps, those last minute comms all set up and getting their strats ready. So as we said, best of 3. That means the person that wins 2 maps, or the team rather that wins two maps, will take home the 3rd place prize of $500, with the losing team getting a pat on the back and thanks for playing. And hopefully we will see you next season. So as we said, first up, Oregon. Here we go here, the prize pool breakdown, as we mentioned before. So $3,000 going to the first place team. That is the Elevate and Nocturnal battle that's happening. Sorry, the $1,500 for the Elevate Nocturnal battle that's happening. So a total prize pool. Thanks again to obviously Ubisoft Australia for sponsoring all of that. Runners up being second place, getting a total of $1,000 for their season's efforts. And as we said, Calypso and Wrens tonight. 3rd place, a total of $500. And with the team they have, works out to to about $100 each player. So that's for a couple of weeks worth of work. That's not too bad of a turnaround. So we'll see, as I said, how this all plays out for these teams tonight.
It's definitely going to be some RGB lighting money well spent for the third place girls tonight. Going to go and upgrade possibly the den where we like to game. But there's also the possibility that one of the players from these teams tonight could walk away with that MVP prize. We could see one of the girls walking away with that new chair. So I mean, definitely something you got to take into consideration. There
Absolutely.
are definitely some players from these teams that could go up for that MVP spot.
Now, Proto, you're no stranger to a Rainbow Six Siege. I know you do cast some LPL, and you've been around the block a few times. When it comes to Oregon and what you've seen in LPL and all the different matches, and when it comes to, say, ban picks, in a match like this, or a matchup like this, rather, at this sort of pointy end of the competition, what do you see from a ban's perspective when we think operator bans and how their play styles will stack out? What do you think we're going to see from these teams?
I'd imagine tonight, starting things off, we're definitely going to see a Thatcher ban in place. There's 100% always going to be a Thatcher ban on most of these maps. Whether they choose to ban the Maverick out as well, that'll make things just that little bit harder, especially getting into tower. But then obviously Wamai is something you got to take into consideration. We could see that ban making the elbow extension harder. It just depends what the teams want to run tonight, strategy-wise. But there definitely will be Thatcher and a possibility of a Maverick Ivana off the board.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, the teams are in, they are ready, the bans are happening, so let's change on over, see the action unfold firsthand. As we said, we are going across to Oregon, a map that both of these teams have played before. The question will be, will Wrens take back the title of Oregon champion against Calypso, or will we have a repeat of what has happened historically? The GLHFs come out in chat as the players get ready, and the ban phase is underway. As we said, some common bans on this map. Thatcher, obviously, potentially even a Jackal to counteract that roamability as one. There are plenty of alternatives. If Thatcher is banned, obviously now being that the timeline has passed or the quarantine period is over, we potentially may see some Marooney action tonight. However, Nomad is the first ban that came out, and there's a big nanny in chat because I'm sitting here very, very confused as well. A very critical operator, particularly for a basement hold, being that there's really, outside of hatch control, there's only 3 main stairs coming in and out. So if Nomad's able to air jab those connecting points off, then, it's quite hard to breach in. So second ban comes out to Maverick as well. So once again, these bans are getting definitely not where I thought this was going to go, Proto.
Well, Thatcher is in play now, so I'd assume that we're definitely not going to be seeing those elbow extensions due to the fact that Jaeger has been nerfed. You can actually Thatcher those Jaegers in the elbow area downstairs through the floor outside. So I'm assuming we won't be seeing any elbow extension. The Nomad ban, though, is very, very interesting. Obviously, Gridlock is an operator that can be bought now, so a good substitute, but not as good as the Nomad Nikkade ban there, with the mirror as well. 2 pretty standard bans defensive-wise. Wamai is still on the board, though, so I'd imagine that we could see sort of a pillar extension, but in terms of blue elbow, we definitely... I don't know. It's going to be interesting in terms of what they choose to do, obviously, with this Thatcher on the board. Now, it was teased there by Angry, but will she 6-pick off the IQ instead, or are they going to stick it nonetheless?
Yeah, Sporky coming out with a 0 as well. Now, there's a player that you don't see coming out in, whether it be LPL Pro League or any real competition league, obviously having those cameras that add the ability for additional eyes on site. And if as the 0 operator, you can obviously flip them both ways. So not an operator I see play quite a lot. And I do have my notepad out to take notes on how these ladies actually utilize his utility and approach the site. They have opted for the MP7, not his main weapon, which I think is the SCSX 3000. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but the MP7 is what they've operated for, as well as the hard breaching utility. So potentially that may be their train of thought here, is they've brought him along for that hard breach utility. We'll have to see how this unfolds. And of course, as we said, the top fraggers, and there's Bear with the Ash as well. So we can definitely identify the Ash mains without any real stress at all. Time for Pi operating on the Malusi as the defenders get to work setting up site.
From the setup right now, I can see Goyo did just manage to find one of those default place drones by the attackers. Two of them already gone off the board. Now, no extension upstairs into meeting, and 4 players already spawning over by the junkyard. So I'd imagine we're looking for 3-story tower control here, possibly in the meeting to get these hatches open. And we definitely could be seeing some aggression into blue, but we do see Diana on the smoke inside of blue. So I think we do actually have the elbow extension. Now, whether or not they choose to take this with the Thatcher as part of their priority push, it doesn't seem that that is the case right now. A lot of droning in the middle floor, and I don't believe, other than Jaeger, we have any roamers present. So the attackers, if they can frag out fish, are going to be able to have a lot of control on that middle floor, and an altercation on the back stairs here.
Yeah, and definitely to your point, bringing in Malusi, obviously one of the optimal roamers to have on a map like Oregon. Put down those Malusi wub-wubs and off you can start roaming, particularly to hold up on, say, a master position to prevent what you saw the teams doing as they're rappelling up into Big Tower and doing that top-down clear. So, committing all 5 operators to the basement level, see how this plays out. Now, we are aware of an audio glitch at the moment. So, once this round has finished, we will just pause it just to correct that for those watching at home. It hasn't affected the players, just the stream for the moment. So as we see the guys get to work, they've already taken control of stage area. They're getting to work on making sure they can hold those angles correctly. Hatches are still locked. They're trying to get to the work and clear those out. Sporky running around with the MP7 as well, putting her work in. And again, it's a minute 14, so a full minute and a bit has sort of transpired as far as the round's concerned. And it's a very slow and steady race at the moment as the attackers get prepped up for their push down into basement.
Definitely starting to make their way downstairs now. The smoke for the cross. First Thatcher's going to come out here from Angry, and I'd imagine they're going to swing in, but Burnabear's going to find one, and Diana's going to refrag, though, on the player in blue. 2 for her with the M590 in hand. She's going to get 2 shotgun kills there. Burnabear's going to find Boshi, though, on the pillar. Time for Pie also tagged up in freezer. C4 comes out, though. I don't believe it connected. I think it was shot in mid-air, but the attackers do have freezer control. Burnabear's going to find another one. 3 for her right now in the round on the Ash, and it's all up to Diana and Pie. They need to hold this down, and 30 seconds left on the board. Diana's going to find Burnabear, though, so no more Ash in the round for her. Only 2 left, and the swing from Malusi. Az! See you later. Time, unfortunately, missing that swing, and it's all up to Diana, but she has Kit inside of elbow, in 15 seconds. All she needs to do is hold right here. She's going to choose to swing on the 0, though, and it's not going to pay off. The SMG at close range wasn't enough to take out that MP7.
That is very unfortunate at the time. The MP7 with that 1.5x at that range is going to absolutely shred whatever smoke had left in the tank. So a very unfortunate play, and that the explosion in the last 30 seconds of kills was definitely something to see. So as we go to pause the timer to correct the audio issue to make sure everyone can hear what they're doing, that will happen right now. But what a first round, a full minute and a bit. So there was definitely a slow play approach from the attacking team, making sure that the drones were placed out correctly, identifying that, yes, we have not only top and essentially main floor control, we've now isolated them all into the basement area so we can start to stack up on those guys. Approach from freezer, approach from rear stage, and we can really push in onto site, as we saw Bear getting the opening frag with the Ash as well.
I think the underlying issue we saw that round that almost cost the attackers there is we only had 1 hard breacher on the board, which was the ace. No Habana, no Thermite. So the hatches weren't actually opened up. So there was none of that vertical pressure sort of holding these rotates. But the defenders did make a pretty good effort regardless. I mean, they had to come from either way. All they had to do was hold their angles. And unfortunately, Burnabear just wins her ones, especially on the Ash coming into the pillar and sort of just cleaning up shop there. So it could have been a mispick either way. I doubt that it was, but we are back now, and pretty much the same lineup. I imagine we would see that 6 pick from Angry again back onto the Thatcher, but a mute Mozzie combo here from the defenders, switching things up on the bottom floor, as well as a castle and no Jaeger at all. So we're going to see a strat switch up here.
Yeah, interesting six pick away from the Jaeger to opt for the castle as well. So, obviously these ladies are confident on their basement hold, and Calypso definitely want to give that another crack and see how they can turn that out. But off of the Jaeger for a castle, it's a very interesting pick, not having essentially any utility denial now. So they're going to have to rely on both the mute jammers really to stop any of that hard destruction coming through, and potentially even commit maybe a Roma, a Legion, or Malusi would be my first thoughts. But nonetheless, an interesting setup. And as you said, from the attacking team, they're going to stick with what they know. It worked for the first round, so we're just going to continue that until it stops working, basically.
From what we can see here from the setup as well, I think we're seeing a sort of variant of the Clubhouse SSG strat right now. For the defenders. Now, Calypso obviously bring that castle and the mute, and we can see three people on that middle floor right now with the hatches open, so they definitely are going to be contesting these sort of backstairs green hall area, but Malusi definitely getting a little bit aggressive at the start of this round. C4 is going to come out, and it's going to collect Brunek going down on the rappel, so that is your only hard breacher off the board in the first 30 seconds, and that is a pretty big pick for Calypso.
That's a huge pick, so early on in the round. I mean, that's essentially that's limited their approach to three main spots. They're really going to have to commit either bodies or really make sure they drone out those operators to identify completely where they are, because they're just not going to be able to breach that basement wall anymore. They've got they're not going to be able to get any hatch control. Laundry wall is going to stay completely reinforced as well. And boom, bear. That's unfortunate timing. Bosch on the castle taking the Ash main down, as does get the refrag though. Trains that out for Fish Noodles. That's a Legion off the board, as going to work with the Zofia and shutting down that T5 SMG and all that utility that Legion brings along in terms of the goo mine. So a quick refrag, sitting 3 for 4 with a minute 40 left on the clock, only in round 2. Looks like these ladies mean business, and they're going hard at it, and Wrens are really trying to step this up. As you said, they have lost to Calypso on this map before, so they've come back with a vengeance, and it's quite clear to see that they've been doing their homework on how to play this map correctly.
The mute jammer there on top of the laundry, the washing machine is going to mean that Claymore worky very well, and an altercation at the bottom of the main stairs here. M590 in hand though for Rappel on the mute. She's going to choose to swing round, but it's not going to pay off. Angry's going to hit that shot, and down goes the M590, but Malusi on the cross now from the head glitch inside of the A bomb site. He's going to get a little bit of chip damage onto Angry, but that Zero Cam is going to clear out that mute jammer. So, I see person on the hatch here. This could spell trouble for Az, pushing deep into Freezer. Now, obviously, the SSG strat means that the hatches are still open, so the defenders can utilize this to themselves. Obviously, the attackers are going to have to come, as you said, from one of 3 ways, and it looks like they're opting to come down Freezer/main, possibly for a laundry plant here, but Diana's actually going to play Ring Around the Rosie with Az here and manage to get back into the site, and she's actually also going to find Angry as well, so...
Yeah, a cheeky little trade for Diana. So it's put them into a 2v3 with 23 seconds left on the clock. Calypso are really going, Wrens are really going to have to commit here. And that's what we see from Sporky. Diana gets the refrag onto Az. It's now a 1v2 with a C4 that goes for her life. Sporky is copying a huge amount of damage from Freezer. 7 seconds left on the clock. I don't think this is going to go in the way of Calypso at all. They need to get that Wrens. They need to get that defuse down or go for frags. Deanna, pistol out, says thank you very much for trying. Good night. The second round goes in favor of Calypso.
It was good to see the adaptation there from the defenders, obviously opting to switch up the strats straight away, no extension into elbow, and sort of trying that SSG variant. And I mean, it paid off for them, obviously, that hatch drop there at the end, netting them a kill on the drop and the return back to site. Diana sort of coming all the way back in and getting that last frag as well. So, I mean, the strat on the bottom floor definitely benefited them in the switch, but now we're going to see a second floor attempt here, kids and dorms. So we're going to see if Wrens can clutch another defensive round away. Still only one hard breacher being bought by them, or are Calypso going to be able to win another round? And a 6 pick from Sporky onto the Jackal, so we're going to be actively hunting roamers this round.
Yeah, and I think that's a learning curve after the previous round with that castle shutting Legion down. With Legion getting shut down by Zofia rather early. So, they're really sort of adapting to that, and Jackal is fully aware. The team's rather fully aware they're going to commit to some roamability. With Jackal on the board, they're going to utilize that to make sure that they don't get caught up and that they don't either lose HP or lose bodies to their top floor clear or their bottom up clear, I guess you could say. So, I think a very wise decision by Sporky to bring that along. Don't know, whilst Zero, yes, got some frags, I don't know if the utility was potentially what the team was sort of wanting to sort of get out of it. So I think a pick to Jackal makes sense. We do see Az bringing the Iana as well. So bringing the Iana, essentially walking drone, if you will, changing off of the Zofia that she's been so successful with. So interesting to see how Az plays that out. Of course, we are going to dorms and bedroom as well. So bringing that bandit makes total sense for that denial ability as well.
Now, I'd imagine Boshi is going to be tricking this wall due to the fact that Maverick isn't in play. It's a lot easier to bandit trick a wall when you're coming up against a Thatcher than it is against a Maverick, obviously, because he does put those holes in the wall, and any experienced bandit tricker can sort of deny a Thatcher for the entire round. Now, Boshi on inside of the attic right now is going to be the one attempting to do this, and some pre-fires here for the defenders. They're actually going to do a little bit of damage to Pi down in the kitchen, and I believe Az is looking to chase here for this frag. The Jackal isn't anywhere close, it seems, for the refrag here, even the information, but Burnabear is well situated outside of white, means that all of the rotates here are covered, and they have these roamers locked down nonetheless. They just need to find the kills here on the board, and Pi's going to lose a little bit more HP, and Az is looking to come and collect her life.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you want to see for roamability. You know, the attackers have now essentially committed one full body and one gun to hunting down this Melusi. So time for Pi's whole role now is simply to burn time and make sure they're focusing on her rather than trying to get onto site and clearing out the teammates that she's left back there to defend that site. And she's doing that job perfectly right now. A minute 30 left on the clock. Yes, time for Pi's health is low, but we still have Iana downstairs trying to isolate where exactly that Melusi is roaming out. Sporky, again with a Jackal, getting Bosch down. So that's the Bandit completely off the board. So we were talking about before, Bandit tricking, that's completely gone. Bear gets into the action as well, taking down Fish Noodle. So Jaeger, another big impact player, completely off the board. 5v3 in the final 60 seconds on the clock. Iana's going for that peek onto Melusi. She's not entirely sure, but I know that Time for Pi knows exactly where it's going to happen. No! Az gets the better of her, shuts down Time for Pi. Rappel gets a quick refrag onto Sporky, so that Jackal utility is now all but one and done. Deanna shut down by Angry Wolf, and before we know it, 40 seconds left on the clock. 4v1. It's pretty much going to go in the raid. Wrens does get one. Can she get a second? No, she can't. Rappel just going for that KD stack, and there it is. Brunek shutting that down and bringing another win for the attacking team.
Wrens definitely doing really well on that attacking round, locking down those roamers and sort of capitalizing on the fact that the defenders were sort of trying to send bodies over to the relative area and try and support the roamer. It's good to see from Calypso, obviously, sending some more extra bodies to try and hold those crossfires and maybe pick up a refrag on the kill on the initial roamer. But I mean, we saw Jackal get the kill on the Bandit tricker through the hatch inside of meeting, and then obviously Burnabear followed it up, and Az got one as well. So in the space of about 20 seconds, you went from crossfires to, what was it, a 4v3, 4v2 on site. It was really unfortunate for Calypso the way they chose to rotate there, but it was good in theory. Let's hope that they can make it practice this round and even things back out too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really want to commend Time for Pi on that roam downstairs. I mean, she almost fully burnt 2 and a bit minutes just by bullying that Iana. And I think it was the Jackal as well downstairs, trying to keep those players busy and isolated away from sight. So, you know, when you have a roamer on the team and one as powerful as, say, a Melusi, that's exactly what you want from them. You couldn't have asked for much more. A couple of kills, hey, that would have been nice. But, you know, Melusi's real job in that instance is to make sure that she is just burning the clock down. And they are worrying about about her rather than worrying about getting the defuse back onto site. So we'll see a very similar lineup. Bosch is going to be sitting in attic battery or bandit tricking the attic wall to make sure that is completely shut down. We do see Sporky though opt back into the zero, which is an interesting choice to come back onto it. Whether they've identified that, hey, the utility that we had with the zero in play did actually make a difference to the round, obviously let to be seen. We'll see what happens. They got the win either way, so I'm kind of curious to see how this zero utility continues to play out round by round.
As you were saying, the utility usage that round from the Jackal specifically, it wasn't really useful in terms of finding those roamers. They knew pretty much exactly where they were, and they were able to sort of shut them down from a very early stage in the round without using those Inox tracks. Whereas the fact that the zero is in play means that Sporky could just go below here, and even if the bandit batteries do go down on the wall, we can just zap them, as well as the Thatcher is in play. So I'd imagine that we're going to see the wall opened up either way here. Now, a lot of Thatchers being used. I think that was 2 or even all 3, but as off screen is going to go down to Diana. The SMG-11 proving to be fatal in this instance, and that was just outside of the green hall door. So I'd imagine a bit of vertical play now from inside of the bomb site is going to be supporting the roamers, but Burner Bear coming from the back here. Nope, she's going to choose to rappel up. So I think they're just going to let the roamers do their own thing and focus on the walls now. Wrens need to get into the bomb site relatively soon. 1.5 minutes gone in this round, and the roamers still have a fair amount of control outside of the bomb site.
Yeah, absolutely. That was definitely all 3 EMPs burned on attic wall. So that's Thatcher's job, one and done, and the attic wall is still intact. So EMPs are all said and done. The utility's off the board. So it's going to be a lot more difficult now to try and breach any hard walls that they can try and get through. But once again, when we look at the roam abilities, Fishnoodle just having a quick yog downstairs, although Bear does shut down Rappel rather, on the Maestro. So that's now a 1-for-1 trade almost, with 4v4, 46 seconds left on the clock. Fish swings out and shuts down Sporky on the zero at the bottom of Freeze the Stairs. So Fishnoodle and the Malusi, these roamers are really putting in the work for Calypso rather. 2v4, it's almost like a complete reversal on what we saw before, and that's Diana shutting down Bear in the refrag. So 24 seconds left, 2v4. What is going to happen? These guys need to commit. Fish still in the roam, going up through lobby, up onto main stairs. Deanna gets herself a triple kill. She is absolutely fragging this round. Brunette goes to the swing, but that is unfortunate. Time for Pie, and that Malusi says, no, you can't enter through the hole you opened. You are completely finished, with a bit of cheeky vertical play from down beneath in school as well. Some great action from these girls.
This is definitely the answer back that we were talking about. Calypso, as we said at the start, they did win this map the last time we saw it, and Wrens are definitely giving them a run for their money right now. 2 attacking rounds on arguably a defender-sided map is definitely going to be putting a little bit of an ego boost in the pockets of Wrens. Obviously, already 2 rounds on the board is a lot better than none at the end of the day, and a lot better than going into a half 4-2 or even 6-0. So, I mean, the Wrens are putting up a big fight, and Calypso, they're definitely answering back, but they have been very close rounds the last couple. So we could see this next attack and even the half go in the favor of Wrens if they really switch up a gear and kick it into the next one.
Yeah, and when we sort of flash back to when these two teams battled it out on Oregon previously, it was a 4-7 in the favor of Calypso. So Wrens definitely did lock in a couple of rounds. So the question will be, I guess, is can they continue the streak that they've had so early on in the evening and potentially try and swing that back? I mean, Calypso had a pretty strong round. They seem to be playing tennis with each other when it comes to the rounds, and it goes 1v4 this way, and then we'll swing it back and we'll go 1v4 the other way. And again, it's really, you can't judge who is going to take this map tonight, because the teams are just playing it so well. You can see the synergy between the teams. You can see that Wrens have studied how Calypso play, how they approach each side, and what utility/operators they're going to bring. So a great effort from these girls so far.
110% is what the Wrens are putting in right now. As you said, they're definitely going round for round right now. It's a bit of ping pong back and forth, but we're going to see a Twitch being brought this round instead of the Jackal slash what was the other operator that they were bringing? The Zofia. So as switching off onto that Twitch now, we also saw a lot of the drones being shot in the prep phase there. So finding these roamers is going to be a little bit more difficult right now for the Wrens, losing a lot of that information. But the SSG strat last time that we did see it the other round just before, Time for Fire is going to go down on that rotate there, and a very good pick here from Az, the live drone from Burnabear as well, sort of getting them that frag relatively carefree on the board, but as well, pillar control here, also going towards the main wall. Az could just send it straight into the bomb site. She's going towards E-Box. They've already sort of know that the site is clear below, but not necessarily E-Box hatch itself. They know that we do have the SSG variant being played right now, and Az has control of Freezer, and she's already relatively deep inside of the bomb site. Brunek's going to find one onto Pi, so down goes onto Bosch, down goes the castle. Now, Rappel playing close on the main wall here. Brunek is going to get down off screen from the E-Box hatch. Diana's going to collect that frag. C4 comes out, a little bit of damage dealt. Burnabear goes down to Fish Noodle, and the swing here from Rappel is going to find Angry, but refragged by Az. Still site control in the hands of the Wrens, and a 2v2 a minute 18. Still a lot of time for the defenders to work with, and the bomb is going down. Will they be able to retake? We're going to see the drop from E-Box hatch here. Sporky's going to collect, and it's all up to Fish Noodle.
Minute left on the clock. This has been probably one of the fastest paced rounds we've seen from them. So Legion tries to drop the hatch. Sporky says, no, I know that you're dropping E-Box and I'm going to completely shut you down. That was an exceptionally speedy round from these girls, and Wrens are saying, no, we know that you got the last round, but we want this round back. So bringing that Twitch definitely, really played into their hands well, and that pick on Pillar so early on with that F2 really just ignited the girls to explode onto site. And as we saw, freezer clear, they had, backstairs, they had pillar clearance, they had all of that done within the first 60 seconds on the clock. So in terms of approach, it's been the fastest that we've seen Wrens play tonight.
And in those sort of SSG variant strats, the best way to take them on is to just get into the bomb site as quick as you can and sort of play the returns. Obviously, the roamers, as soon as you have that site control, are going to have to try and come back and retake them. And we saw them do exactly that, dropping the E-Box. But Sporky was there ready to collect, obviously the MP7 in hand. Now, she's going to go back onto the Jackal this round. So I'd imagine the SSG strat is going to be switched off. They realize that they've won it once, switch it up, and we see the Jaeger being brought as well this round. So I'd imagine we're most likely going to see that pillar extension as well as the elbow hold here for Diana on the smoke.
Yeah, and Boshi opting away from the castle and onto the Goyo as well. So it seems to me like Calypso are identifying that, hey, whilst Castle Utility does bring something for the board in terms of slowing the push down, when it comes to these tighter angles, we just don't have the cover that we would want. So bringing those two additional explosive shields may give them additional cover. Obviously, somewhere on pillar would be ideal, or even whether you leave one side of that basement wall open for that push into the connector down there, and then place a Goyo shield on the corner or something like that. So just giving them more maneuverability so they're not having to worry about those super tight angles. Burnaberry's going to stick with the Ash main, though. It's obviously been paying dividends tonight. Kills have been coming out, and Bear has definitely been putting in the work. So interesting to see how this round will play out. 3 and 2 with one more round. So this will be the deciding round before we swap over at half. 2 minutes 16 left on the clock.
And I mean, honestly, after that round, Wrens right now doing their roam clears exceptionally well. They've sort of warmed up to how Calypso are playing this map. We're going to get into a fight here on the backstairs. Will Fish Noodle come out on top? She's going to get damaged and actually go down again. So another early pick to the F2, falling down to that one. But Boshi is still in pillar, so pillar control hasn't been lost here for the defenders. Some pre-fires, but nothing is going to connect, unfortunately. Now, the attackers with 2 roamers now off the board, as Burnabear finds one off screen as well on to Pi. So I mean, a lot of control for the middle floor for them, and a lot of utility still left in their pockets. Rap's also going to get tagged up as well by Brunek through the wall, so a lot of damage dealt by the attackers here in the first minute and a half, and they still have so much utility to use in terms of opening things up and making their lives a lot easier. How are they going to use it? We will find out very soon, but the freezer take here now for Az.
Absolutely. You know, coming into the half, I think we can sort of start to read into this round. Unless something major happens, Wrens are setting themselves up nice and pretty in terms of taking this round out. Once again, obviously saw Twitch getting the clutch nice and early. They're getting freezer control. They're getting that line of sight. Sporky on the rear stairs. Will they pick up Goyo on the roam? Yes, they absolutely will shut down Goyo, who's running around trying to get control of Pillar and understand where they're at. It's all up to Deanna in a 5v1. Will this be a flawless round for Wrens? No, it won't. She will get one. Just pad the stats. Can she get another? The quick flicks come out from the SMG 11. Will she get ahead? No, she will not, as we'll shut her down with that F2 1.5. A phenomenal round, which brings us to 4-2 at the half. Now, that is a pretty good position to be in on that defensive swap. So the question will be now, when we look at, again, the previous rounds, the previous game that these two teams have come at, Wrens sat at 4. They finished and obviously lost to Calypso 4-7. So the question will be, now that they're on their defensive half, will they continue the momentum that they've clearly got, or will Calypso throw it back in their face, shut them down, and just win 5 rounds consecutively and take first map?
Well, I mean, this map, arguably, a little bit defender-sided in terms of what bomb site you play. Obviously, the upstairs and the basement are your two most sort of precious bomb sites that you want to either start with and or have as your immediate second pick. Some teams opt to go with the kitchen, obviously, but it isn't really the meta pick. And Wrens here, now on the defense, are going to be opting to go straight downstairs. And I think that Wrens definitely have the position now that they're up 4-2 from their attacking half. Bear losing a bit of HP there from the shotgun rotates, but they definitely have the momentum, as you said, in this second half now on their defense to sort of widen the gap and make it a little bit harder for Calypso to catch up. But as we know, Calypso did win this map last time, and I reckon that given the fact that they now have a few more rifles in terms of obviously the AK-12, an absolute monster on the board, that we could see them win a few more rounds here to get themselves even and back up, and possibly even, as you said, walk away with 5 unanswered rounds. It depends how Wrens want to hold this.
Yeah, and when we look at the operator lineup as well, we're now introducing an Echo onto the board. We've introduced a Habana. So Calypso opting to bring in 2 hard breaches, which is something that we didn't see with Wrens. Now, albeit to your point, the SSG strat, there were hatches already open that they could then utilize later in the round, but they never really brought a secondary backup hard breacher. They always opted to bring the Ace or someone of the like. So to have both the Ace and the Habana on the hands of Calypso, I get the feeling that they know how to approach this site. And then to your point, you know, arguably defender-sided, yeah, you know, everyone's got their own opinion on it, but bringing that second hard breacher, I think, is really going to pay dividends later in the round. Again, it's just making sure that they can get control of the map early on, making sure they lock down their roamers, and then hopefully we'll be able to clutch that out.
100%. Now, from what I can see on the OBS right here, the hatch wasn't actually reinforced at all inside of meeting. Whether or not that is the same for the security and main hatch, I'm not too sure. As well as the fact that we don't see a dedicated roamer here from what we can see for the Wrens. Other than that, we have Az at the back of the back stairs from tower, and there's not really any dedicated roamer here. So a minute 30 gone with no dedicated roamer. The hatch is open, but that's still a lot of time burn, and only now are they starting to move towards freezer, and there are 3 players that they have to get past here if they want elbow control. Not freezer, sorry, construction.
Yeah, and we see Angry positioning up on here on elbow, making sure with that smoke shield, smoke canisters in place. Zafia stun grenades come out, but you know, as you see the smoke doing that denial that's intended to do, the reinforce in the pocket comes out and closes off that loop, so retracted back into sight as taking a good solid chunk of damage, but is still a gun on the board, hasn't lost her life just yet. And things are sort of stalemated to your point. We're only 60 seconds left into the round, and Calypso have kind of started, again, I don't know how the comms are going, but whether they're setting themselves up for the 20-second meta or whether they're starting to get the plan together. As we can see, Rappel on the back says, gets one, that's Az down. We see the Echo hanging behind that shield. Will we see Cheeky Peek? Deanna's getting very aggressive on the push here as well. They know the second one is on Pillar, unable to connect. Jaeger playing off in the back of Freezer. It's going to be a construction and rear stage push. We can see that 4v5, 27 seconds left on the clock. Calypso are living and breathing this 20-second meta. Deanna's shutting down Angry Wolf as well as they get the full send committed. It's all up to the remaining teams. Brunette gets a cheeky one onto Repel. Time for Pi rather, says no, time to die. I'm going to shut you down. Gets a twofer as well, putting that Zofia to work. It is now all up to Sporky to completely remove what's left as we potentially look at a post plant. We will, but never mind. Time for Pi getting herself, was that a 3 or a 4K that round? Really putting in overtime with that Zofia, and well played by the attacking team.
I believe it was 3 there on the entry. Things were looking very good in terms of the Wrens hold. We still had Echo on the board at pillar control. We still had smoke up. The wall was reinforced. It was all looking great. But when it came down to it, as you said, 20 seconds is a lot of time, and Calypso sort of just won their ones and made their way on into the bomb site. And that denial didn't seem to come out. I don't think, other than the one smoke we saw thrown inside of the blue double door, that any more were thrown on that round, say E-Box or default plan. And I think that could have definitely altered how that round went. But instead of trying again, Wrens are going to opt to go onto the top floor. They are still bringing that Echo, but no smoke on the board here. And we're going to see a Malusi as well as a Castle. So I'm interested to see where these Castle barricades are.
Yeah, so the last 3 rounds have all been committed to Laundry, and this is obviously, when Calypso were on their defensive half, they opted to opt into Laundry. Wrens have kicked off with Laundry, hasn't gone in their favor, so they're doing the right thing, I guess, in terms of my mind, is going, look, we're going to get away from that site that didn't work out to the way we wanted to play. Let's move away to a completely different site, go upstairs, which we haven't seen since round 4 of tonight, and obviously, as you said, bringing in a couple of different operators to introducing the Malusi and the Castle as well to secure that site. So I guess the question will be, will they commit potentially a Roma to this case that may have changed, how the last few moments of the last round have played out, or will they simply anchor everyone into sight and commit to a stronghold, which in theory, almost worked in their favor if Calypso obviously didn't live and breathe that 20 to 30 second meta, and those last 20 seconds were super explosive and they managed to clutch that out. So Fishnet or getting very aggressive into Armory, opening up that window with a couple of pre-fires, Burner on the Jaeger having to retreat back into sight rather quickly. They're already on balcony, and Habana and Iana getting to work there as well. Time for Pioneer stage. These girls are working quick to take full control, pushing everyone back in and securing the top floor control. It looks like they're very aware that they don't have to worry about anyone downstairs by the way they're playing and setting themselves up. Question will be, how will the execute come down? Will they take the next minute 30 to identify where these defenders are lying and then explode onto site from what we've seen previously, or will they simply explode onto site early? And they do have what looks like attic wall control as well, so that is now open, and Malusi has had to retreat back further down attic, and again they just continue to cascade these defenders back into site closer and closer. So I get the feeling the last 30 seconds of this round are going to be very, very busy.
Definitely looking like it's shaping up to become quite busy at the end. Now, the wall here for Master is going to start being contested now by Fish and Boshi. Obviously, the Habana and the Thatcher are going to be trying to get this wall open, but an aid from below. Rap is going to collect onto Az, and down goes the Bandit. He's going to get a couple of those Habana charges off of the wall, but not all of them, and the wall now opened up means that the attackers have a little bit more to work with here, but not much time. I mean, a minute left. Definitely, as you said, the 20-second meta here. Attic being Rio'd off, though, means that they're going to have to sort of plant close on that attic door, but they do have the ability to do so with that wall open now, but the Echo is going to be the main problem that they are going to run into, especially if Brunek has those drones close by in such a position that means that they're going to be able to deny the plant, as well as, I believe, a C4 still on the board for the defenders in terms of what Angry still has in pocket, as well as Burner still not being cleared out here from close on the main wall. Now, 30 seconds left. We've got Thatcher making her way up the white stairs now. Is going to be called out, though, and Rap is possibly going to get this nade kill here. Angry is going to collect deflect onto the Thatcher, though, and she's going to do more damage to herself with that nade than she did do to Burnabear there, but she is going to get fragged out by Time for Pi. Now, Sporky's going to find the refrag, though. The bomb is going down in the hands of Diana. Now, Brunek needs to use these Echo drones here, but instead she's just going to choose to swing. She's going to find 2 on the aggressive play here. It's all up to Boshi on the main wall. 40 seconds now in the post plant for the Habana, but it is planted for her, and a 2.5 in hands as well as the Type 89. If any gun is going to clutch it out, it's going to be Brunek's, the MP5SD. 3 kills for her that round of the Echo. Instead of using the drone, she opted to just aggressively swing, and it paid off. The defuse for her as well, and Wrens, another round on the board.
Well, I think they can tick that off the strat list that, hey, Echo does work in a top floor hold. The cheeky 3K from Brunek, not even opting to use the drone, going, you know what, I'm so confident in my gun skill, I'm simply just going to swing onto you, and completely shutting down the last 3 remaining players on the attacking team. You know, super unfortunate from Habana. They were in a great position, but as all players, you know, you've just got to peek those angles to make sure that this sneaky defuse is not going down, whether it be long-armed or whatever. But that Echo just, wow, Brunek, you just know how to hit your shots, mate, and very, very well played.
That was a very, very good play from Brunek there on that Echo. I mean, the aggression was definitely called for. A 6-pick here from Diana, though. The ace onto the blitz. So the only hard breacher being bought for this bottom floor defense is going to be that Habana. But we saw last time that Wrens didn't even reinforce the meeting hatch, arguably the most important one on a downstairs defense. So we're going to see if that was a strategy play, or it was that just a miss Rio from someone on the team here. Now, with this blitz in play, we could definitely see some early aggression down the stairs. The hatch is going to be reinforced by Brunek. But I'd imagine Calypso are possibly looking to just run either straight down main, straight down freezer, or straight down the backstairs, and Blitz is going to be leading the charge.
I've never been more excited for a competition round than I am right now. To see a Blitz be the 6th pick choice, I can already see Diana prepping her Shift W on her keyboard, and I have a full faith that that Blitz will be on site before the drones from the attacking team. So it'd be very keen to see how she plays it. We can tell that Calypso, and here she goes, we can tell Calypso is an overly aggressive team from their playstyle thus far. They like to send it on site. They like to get in the face of the defenders as quick as possible to make sure they are fully aware that they are there. Diana, though, slowing the pace, making sure that the drones are out. We could see on the previous round that Calypso are very heavy on their drone work. They like to identify and pinpoint exactly where those defenders are holding. Burnabear gets some very early picks. Iana drone coming in as well on that replicator. Blitz positioning herself. There comes the smoke grenades. Fishing it all on the Thatcher as well. Time for Pi getting Burnabear. That's the Jaeger shut down. 4v5, 2 minutes 12. There's the Blitz onto site in less than 60 seconds. A pistol comes out, gets one, gets a second. Diana, you have made the choice of your life to 6-pick. Will she get a third? Sporky running low on HP. It's all down to the Bandit and the Mozzie as Diana has put in overtime on this Blitz. They are going to have to play it aggressive here for the retake. A 4v2, potentially post-plant can as get the Time for Pi on that Zofia. They do have rear stair control, never mind. Down goes the Mozzie to repel on the Nomad. It's all come down to the Bandit in a 1v4 post-plant clutch, as I have faith, mate, but that is a tall task to ask. Does get one for the stats, 1v3, 30 seconds left on the defuse. You can see the pill hole. Will she get a second? She goes, does unfortunately miss those shots. Will she re-peak that angle? She does. Blitz shield is what's coming at her. Diana shuts down, gets a triple. The Blitz rush worked. I'm ticking that off my to-do pile. That was an exceptionally aggressive play and exactly what Calypso needed to do to throw this game on its head.
I mean, wow. If I was Wrens and I heard the pain train coming through E-Box straight into the back of the bomb site, Valkyrie was definitely first point of call there, and I don't think she could really see much after she sort of realized what was coming through her door. Now, obviously, Diana sort of knocked it down and went straight on in and picked up 3 as we saw. I mean, the first one with the pistol, the second one, the follow-up headshot was really, really clean and ultimately picking up the last frag as well. We're going to see a 6-pick from her again. Is it going to be the Blitz. It will. We're going to see another Blitz round and Laundry again. A cap can from Sporky, though. So a direct counter pick due to the Blitz play. And I think they've possibly called that Diana is going to be running this one a lot more than they thought originally.
Yeah, I think it's a very smart decision by Wrens to bring that cap can because after the successfulness, or them witnessing the successfulness of the Blitz rush firsthand, the cap can traps and particularly heavily placing them around the rear stairs and even potentially into construction would be the play of the game because they do not want to rinse and repeat of allowing those bright flashy lights in their face for 2 rounds in a row. 5v4, we're still in a very tight competition. You know, we are essentially one round away rather for Wrens going to match point, but Calypso really do not want to let this happen. So, you know, for the first map of the best of 3, this is heating up to be an exceptionally good competition rather. And see the ladies getting to work very, very quickly. Rappel down there making sure that construction is covered. Time for Pi and Bocce as well, getting to work on that rear stage. And again, we talk about how Calypso, you know, rely on that intel. You can see how many drones these girls have out at any one time. 2, 3, potentially even 4 people on their drones, identifying exactly what utility they're coming up against, where these operators are positioning, and you know, to Wrens' point, committing 4 operators downstairs. I'm unsure of where the 5th is, at potentially only having 1 roamer. You know, whether that's playing unfortunately into the hands of Calypso for Wrens, but nevertheless, here we go. Thatcher in, Diana in, gets herself, that is the Capkin completely knocked out. Obviously they don't have points they don't know that they've collected, as knocking out Time for Pi. So that's a Zofia, does get the refrag though, so Bandit has been knocked, Capkin knocked. 3v4 at the moment, unless they can get these revives off. Diana super aggressive on the Bandit. Brunek shutting down Fish. So it's looking very good for Wrens at the moment. They did get the Bandit up. 4v3. The Blitz rush may not have worked out for this round as much as intended. Will they get the repair? No, they will not. Rappel confirms Bernabear. That's the Jaeger off. Angry takes a ton of damage as well. So we are looking at a boom. There it is. Rappel finishing off as with the Nomad. 3v3, although Calypso is stacking the health. When you look at what's left on Wrens, with a minute 22 left on the clock, Diana on site, challenging the defending teams, both in Freezer. Down goes Angry Wolf. Diana is absolutely going ham on this Blitz right now. She needs to back away. The comms have come out. They've identified Freezer and A-Site. She's going to go aggressive with the smokes here. A bit of a zack from the Bandit batteries. The defending team, with whatever HP they've got left, it's just not going to make much of a difference. Rappel shutting down Sporky. Brunek obviously opting to go up and around and try and get a reversal on them, but 1v3, 50 seconds left on the clock is a tall task to ask. We are now in a post-plant situation. 1v3, all down to Brunek. Does he have the C4? No, he doesn't. They have no utility left. It's all going to come down to the gun skill of the Valkyrie. Gets one. Can she pick up another? That's Rappel off the board. No, she cannot, unfortunate. That's Bocce on Habana, shutting that down, and that is a win in favor of Calypso, tying us out 5-5 apiece.
Wow, that was a very, very interesting round to watch. Calypso obviously opting to bring this Blitz now. I think they've managed to find a sort of crutch that Wrens can't really deal with. Obviously, Diana sort of just running in on that Blitz is something to be very afraid of, especially if you are a defender on and in the bomb side. Obviously, you know, that chunka chunka chunk is a very scary noise, especially when you're completely blind by the Blitz. Now, they're going to go upstairs. They're going to stop trying to hold the bottom floor now because Calypso have sort of won the last 2 rounds. And I believe we saw Diana on, I think it was 16 frags. In 10 rounds, playing the role that she was. I believe she was on the smoke on defense, but now on the Blitz on attack. I mean, Blitz more of a fragging op, but like I think on the half before she even got into her attacking half, she was already breaching the double-digit area as the smoke. So I mean, she is playing exceptionally well tonight.
Absolutely. And when we look at, you know, both teams and the history of this season and who the fraggers are, Diana is the second highest fragger with the lineup that we have tonight, with a total of 163 kills across the season, only pipped by Bernabear, funnily enough, at 198. So when we look at the fraggers for tonight, you know, Bernabear obviously not having, you know, the game that she ideally would have wanted, and as has stepped stepped up to the plate on both the Twitch and now opting to bring the Vigil for the first time tonight that we're seeing. But Deanna getting away from the blitz, knowing, hey, it's not going to work 3 times. I'm not going to risk it, but I will bring something with bright, flashy lights, and that's the Ying in hand. So very keen to see how she gets that Candelas to work and whether we're going to see a complete full send onto site again from these teams. Right, as we see the teams positioning up on landing, we do happen to have, again, when we look at how Calypso structure their pushes, the drone work is so super heavy. And Wrens, there it is, Fish Noodle getting Burner Bear nice and early. That is a very big pick in Armory. It is Jaeger completely off the board. Very, very early pick for this type of round. So again, the aggressiveness of Calypso continues to work into their favor.
And I mean, right now, Calypso looking so good in terms of the picks on the board. Still so much utility to use. The Ying pick here is definitely going to be scary, but Az is going to spot out that replicator. But instead of shooting it, she's going to possibly look to aggress on the play going up the stairs. She will get spotted out, though. She isn't going to be able to make her way up. She's going to find the head of Rappel, and down it goes the Yana. But Time for Pi off screen is going to find Sporky somewhere else. Down goes Fish, though, to Az as well. 2 in the round now for the Roman Vigil. Diana looking to collect up a frag back onto Az, but she has already retreated into the depths of the bottom of the basement stairs, and we could see a rotate here from her, but a 3v3 right now. Time for Pi. About 30 HP left in the tank. Still a bit of utility left for Calypso, but we could see this round being the one that Wrens choose to fire back. Now, Az is going to be castled out at the top of white here, so the rotate might be hindered a little bit. A noticeable audio cue is going to be available for the attackers here, so they will know her relative position, but I don't think that is the spot she's opting to go for. Now, I think that floor bang there was from one of the cams Brunek has up. Obviously, the Valkyrie in play this round for the Wrens. Now, Az still on that roam, it could cause a little bit of trouble coming into the latter portion of this round now, and she still hasn't been dealt with. And on side, I do believe we still have a C4 in the hands of Brunek. So if I was Calypso, I definitely would be stressed out about the latter portion of this round. Now, 30 seconds, first smoke's going to come out here, and the Ying as well from Diana, second as well. One person blind, we already know Brunek can't see anything. This corner is made of corner, and the bomb is going to start going down now for Boshi, but Az from below could deny. No impacts left for her to use, and Diana's going to find Burner Bear. 2v3, Diana getting tagged up. The down, though, is going to net her another frag. Angry goes down, and it's all up to Az. She needs an ace to close this out. She's going to find 1, 2 more, a triple for her right now. And a quick little reload at the top of main stairs, and going to re-aggress into the bomb site here for the retake. 1 on Repel, though, is going to be her main issue to deal with here. Zofia, Time for Pi with a very nice angle. She's going to get a little bit of damage onto Bosch, though. She needs to get into this bomb site. Now, she can see the arms of the Havana and a little bit more damage dealt. She is going to be able to cross out onto the top of the game's table now. 12 seconds left, and I don't think even if she finds these frags, the defuse is going to be possible, and it won't. Calypso. An attack around on the board, and they take the lead.
This aggressiveness, again, I keep talking about it because it's quite clear that, you know, this is what this team has done so well throughout the season. And whilst Wrens is definitely giving a valiant effort to Az on the Vigil, I mean, that role was so pivotal and executed so well. It's just so unfortunate that they got, Calypso rather, got some early picks onto the defending team and sort of left Vigil to do the thing by himself or by herself. You know, Az is really sort of stepping up, I guess, as the top fragger on the roll. Obviously, Burner Bear, we said, not having the best night, but, you know, it happens to the best of us. And when we look at the history in terms of stats for Az, which I don't have in front of me, so I'm not too sure how Az has performed throughout the season, but definitely tonight has stepped up to the plate in both driving the Twitch as well as the Vigil. It is match point. You know, Wrens, if you've got anything left in the tank, if you've got strats remaining in the bank, now is the time to use them. You need to bring this to OT. You need to take this out and clutch this out. Otherwise, it is a really good start and a lot of momentum to get that first round for Calypso. So, Wrens, it's all up to you. You need to bring this back.
And they're definitely going to be fighting it here to take it into OT. Now, some interesting picks in terms of the defense. We see a Warden being brought here by Brunek, as well as that castle sort of making a resurgence. Now, the castle barricades that we do see, the one there on the single door into the little cupboard inside of Master, that castle barricade is actually really, really good because it forces the attackers to use a little bit of utility early round if they want that Master wall open. Now, especially due to the fact that Calypso no longer have that primary hard breach in terms of the ace, they need to be relatively conservative with what they are opening up. But we've seen from those couple of rounds just before now that the aggressiveness, the aggressive nature of Calypso, they don't really worry too much about opening up these lines of sight into the bomb site through the hard walls. They sort of just walk on in and deal with whatever comes to them. And it seems to be paying off. A hard breach here from Fish into Armory and Master Control already for the attackers. 2 roamers, though, for the Wrens this round. So we're going to see if they can deny from below. And there's that castle barricade gone. So 2 Havana pellets already used. And there's that early utility burning coming out from the Wrens' utility placement.
Yeah, and to your point, you know, Calypso playstyle, that aggressiveness, and we saw that with the Vigil before. They knew Vigil was playing below, but they almost to an extent just disregarded it and said, no, we're committing to the push on site. We know we've got 2 locked down. We know that there's someone playing downstairs. If we can full send, we'll flash them out, get what we get up here, shut it down, and then we can worry about the roamer at the last minute. And it paid out for them. So to your point, I get the feeling Calypso are just going to go, you know what, we're going to take control. We're just going to walk on site. And then Wrens, you just have to deal with it and figure out how to come back from that. So again, this is something that I don't know if Wrens were really expecting or whether this is how it's been playing out. I mean, Wrens are doing exceptionally better, you know, from a stat perspective and a round perspective than their previous matchup. It's just going to be a question in the last minute 20. Everyone full health, everyone in good positioning. This has probably been the cleanest round in terms of starting that we've seen. Calypso still not on site. There it is, time for Pi. Opening frag, that's going to give them a momentum and the sign to go, guys, push, push, push. That is the Warden off the board. A great adaptability from Wrens to bring that in, obviously with the smart glasses that can see through flashes and smokes. Unfortunately, being shut down early, that utility is going to be null and void. As getting to work on Fish Noodle, I don't know if Thatcher is aware of exactly where. He knows that the Vigil is roaming downstairs, and he is going to be she's going to be the one, or Fish is going to be the one rather, to lock down that Vigil and make sure there is no cheeky play underneath. Here comes Ascend. Diana in, Bosch in, 3v5. Diana locking down 1. The Candelas have come out, the smokes come out. Fish is shut down as 2v5 with 30 seconds left on the clock. Burnabear does get 1 onto Fish. We are now in a post-plant situation at 2v4. This is for the map. Calypso in a very good position. Time for Pi, shutting down Angry Wolf. It's all up to Burnabear, the top fragger for the team. Unfortunate and unable to clutch that out. The first map goes to Calypso, and that is Oregon once again in the favor. Calypso doing a 2 for 2 against Wrens.
Wrens definitely gave it their best shot. 1 round richer than they were last time we saw them go up against Calypso there on this map, but ultimately Calypso sort of keeping true and taking that one out. Obviously one of the more comfortable map picks for them and something that they are sort of more happy playing, especially when they switch over to that attacking slash, you know, defending side, whichever one is more favorited by them. But that blitz pick really seemed to be affecting the Wrens there on defense. And I mean, Diana, I think she breached 20 frags there. I'm not too sure. I didn't get to see the end scoreline, but I'm pretty sure on the smoke blitz roll with the Ying as well in the end, those last sort of 3 rounds there. I mean, that was astronomical. 20 frags on that more support slash entry role on the half. I mean, that's really well played by that one specific player.
Yeah, I also want to make mention that, you know, when we swapped on the defensive half, I made a comment and said, gee, you'd have to essentially win 5 rounds almost back to back to be able to clutch this out. And they essentially did just that. Coming into the half, as we know, it was 4-2 in favor of Wrens. Calypso threw it back in their face, only allowing them to sneak in 1 more round, effectively giving 5 straight rounds in favor of Calypso. So a tremendous comeback. And to your point around Diana, the clear top fragger of the round of the map, rather, with almost 20 frags. The blitz rush paid absolute dividends. You know, it's not something that you classically see, and I get the feeling that Calypso may be utilizing that a whole lot more with the success that Diana had so far tonight. I also do want to talk about Az as well, because when we look at how Wrens have played tonight, which has been exceptionally well, as was definitely a pivotal fragger for that team, depending on didn't really matter what operator she was using, whether it was Twitch, Vigil, whatever. She was able to get those early frags and I guess really sort of pick up and help the team throughout the evening. So, a tremendous effort for both teams. But as we know, Calypso have done the back-to-back on them and taken out Oregon once again.
And Wrens definitely looks like they knew pretty much exactly what they wanted to do. But at the end of the night, Calypso just knew what they wanted to do better. Obviously, sending in that blitz, the picks, the 6 picks. I mean, switching up the ops, the take, the strat. I mean, no hard breaches, but pretty much every attacking round that Calypso had, it was a victory. All they had to do was open up one sight line into the bomb site, get the bomb down, and even if the bomb didn't go down, the round was already won nonetheless. I mean, Ying was in, 2 kills for Ying, Blitz was in, 3 kills for Blitz, and then other than that, everyone else just had to hold for the rotate. And most of the time, it was either Az or Burn that found themselves in that 1vx situation. And at that point, with a Blitz on the board and 2 people holding your flanks, I mean, it's relatively impossible for them to sort of make any leeway back into the bomb site and clutch that round out, even if they were the best of the best. I mean, they still did a really good job, and Wrens almost came close to taking that map away from Calypso, but unfortunately, Calypso were here, and they were gaming a little bit harder on that map tonight.
Absolutely. And we kept talking about play styles throughout the evening and just the variation of style and approach from both teams on their attack/defensive half. And, when we saw when Wrens stepped up to the plate on the attacking half that they had, they played exceptionally well, but they were a lot, I want to use the word more methodical, and didn't approach the site anywhere near as fast as what Calypso did. Now, when we talk about the team structure and synergy, that potentially may be a factor in that in their terms of their confidence on how they operate these things. But we've still got another map. It is a best of 3, so things can change. We can technically go to the 3rd map, so we are going to take a quick ad break, and we'll be back with map 2. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be back very, very shortly.
Enter into a new dimension of gaming and unlock your gaming experience. Powerful and portable, with uncompromised graphics performance. The way you play will never be the same. Enter into a new dimension of creation. The power to design, animate, and edit. Cool and quiet as you create, with breathtaking graphics performance. The way you create will never be the same.
And ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back, returning after our first map. Calypso managing to close that one out 7-5. Wrens unable to wren their way back up to the top. And we will move on to our second map now. Clubhouse is going to be where we take things after the first map. We're going to see if Wrens can take us all the way to a third, or are Calypso here to close things out for that crisp $500.
Yeah, and as a father of two, I love dad puns, and that was I've written that one down. That was wren their way back to the top. That's fantastic. To your point, 7-5. Calypso have done it again against Wrens. Can they continue the momentum as we go across to Clubhouse? Now, Proto, we did it before, and I'm going to do it again. In terms of ban predictions, what do you think we are going to see for a map of this caliber?
I definitely think that due to the fact that one of the teams, I can't remember, I think it was Wrens or Calypso even, one of them were running an SSG variant. So a castle ban could definitely be something that we see, while not sort of a meta ban. If those teams do like the SSG strat, they're definitely going to be familiar with it on a map like Clubhouse. Now, obviously a Thatcher ban, I'd imagine, would be on the board again, but we didn't see him last, instead opting to bring that Maverick out of play. Now, Maverick on this map as well is definitely going to be a good ban for whoever chooses to ban him if he is banned. But as you saw last game, the Nomad was opted to be removed from play instead over the Thatcher/Maverick. So, I mean, any levy of bans could come out on this map. A Mirror, I'd assume, would also be another standard. Maybe even the Cade. We saw him banned last time, and he is a pretty prevalent op on this map. But we are going to jump straight into the bans right now. And here we are, Wren starting things off. And I'd imagine the Thatcher/Maverick is going to be the first thing to go.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because whilst Thatcher was left in, I question how much value that operator added, and that's not to certainly suggest anyone played him incorrectly. And there he goes, Thatcher completely off the board. And of this site again, that would almost be like a default ban, because there's so many spots where he is so critical in speeding up opening, whether it be on top server hole, or CC wall, or even down in basement as well, where they're trying to open blue or whatever. So Thatcher makes sense, but when we sort of rewind back to the previous map, he had the utility, but I don't know if it was utilized as well as what you would have expected from Thatcher. Most hatches were open, a lot of the walls left reinforced, and we saw Calypso just simply collapse onto site and take control regardless of what was reinforced. So, not an uber critical role. We see the Sledge ban come out. That's a very interesting one, and I really like that, because when it comes to our downstairs hold, Sledge is so critical on opening up the floor along kitchen and along bar, and even on the top of the back stairs there, to get those verticality holes into sight. So removing him, very, very smart ban. Wamai completely off the board, so the Wamai magnets are no longer able to be used, and Mirror will wrap up the ban phase. Another operator that would make total sense to ban on a map like this.
100%. And well, Wrens went with the more meta ban, obviously the Thatcher and the Mirror. I like the Calypso bans. I mean, they're starting on attack, and instead of sort of trying to benefit themselves, they're already trying to make their defensive half a whole lot easier. The Sledge ban is one that we don't usually see, but it is definitely going to benefit them in the long run, as you said, opening up those vertical angles inside of the kitchen. But also, if we choose to see any SSG strats brought out by either of these teams, clearing them is going to be a little bit harder due to the fact that one of your dedicated soft breach operators is removed, as well as the Wamai. So holding the garage rafters, even sort of extended roams, are going to be a lot more harder here for the Wrens on their first defensive half.
Absolutely. And to kick things off, we've gone to gym and bedroom. Now, I know this is a very interesting site to hold, and I'm actually really excited to see this is the first site that we go to. Classically, again, depending on whether it's LPL, PL, whatever, it's either going to be a CC cache or it's going to be a basement hold. And these teams are going to throw a spanner completely in the works, go, no, we're going to gym and bedroom first. We're really wanting to see what Calypso can do and start to understand how they're going to approach this map. So it's almost, potentially whether this is going to be a case case of they're really strong with this site, or they're just simply wanting to get it out of the way and play their stronger sites later? Question mark. We'll see what happens. The other thing to note, though, is Az has opted for the Clash. So all the Clash mains in chat right now, you can rejoice. She has made an appearance in the finals week. So Az rocking the Clash, and we do have Fish on the Lion as well to make sure those roamers are completely locked down. We do see Burnabear getting aggressive, holding that CC, but does take a huge chunk of damage as Time for Buy starts to clear out Catwalk nice and early. Again, Calypso getting control very, very quickly. We've got 3 operators outside of CC wall, getting that opened up. Fish out on Suicide, taking full control of that. We are less than 60 seconds into this round, and they have full east side control of this map.
An interesting set of reinforcements here from the defenders, and it is going to cost Angry there her life. Ultimately, the CC/cash connector wall there not being reinforced, and instead opting to reinforce the outside wall. Now, this isn't something you usually see in an upstairs hold. You usually see the extension into cash with a lot of utility placed close by, but they also have that the double wall inside of Master reinforced. But Sporky is going to find one as well, as is going to lose a lot of her own HP too, to I believe top red. I'm not too sure where she got damage from, but the swing here with the SPSMG isn't going to net her any damage/frags on the board. She's going to choose to switch back to the CC shield. Now, as I said, no reinforcement sort of towards Con. They also have that Con double wall sort of connecting there, reinforced, so no long angle to be played from deep inside of the bedroom. Now, it looks like Calypso want to sort of just collapse into CC here, but look like they opt to be switching things up and going for a rotate, leaving Pi all by herself and possibly switching up to open up that main wall. Now, there may be long angles on that wall. I can't necessarily see the second rear. There are, in fact, long angles there that Sporky was just playing, which is going to mean that Pi is very, very low for the rest of this round. Now, Diana coming to support on that Con window, but as on that Clash is proving to be a very, very difficult thing to deal with.
Yeah, as we see Calypso collapso onto site.
I like it.
Worry. I like it. I like it. 4v4, 30 seconds left on the clock. That whole south side. We've got 2 out on Suicide. Time for Pi. 1 HP and a Dream coming up against the Clash. The stun grenades come out, but getting aggressive. There it is. Shut down. Burnabear fixes up Repel. Down goes Zofia to the Clash. Getting a bit of bully there, but no, Diana out of nowhere swings onto the Clash and shuts her down. That is unbelievable. Time for Pi. You will be thanking your lucky stars that came out in your favor. Brunek, the trades come out. 2v1, 2 seconds left on the clock. It's now a 1v1, but the defenders hold strong. That came down to a matter of seconds. A very, very lucky defending team right there.
I think what we saw there on the OBS was Clash actually de-shielded to either shoot the downed person or BM them completely and hit him with a little bit of a teabag. But either way, it didn't really pay off. Instead of just zapping the down Zofia, Az chose to get a little bit funky with it, and it did cost her life. But as we saw at the end of that round there, the kit did go down on the entry through the Con door, and a 6-pick here from Angry off the Legion onto the cap can, as well as a 6-pick from Fish back onto that line that we saw being bought last round. Now, Wrens getting that first round on the board is definitely going to put them in high spirits after losing out that first map. They still have a lot left to give, and in terms of stamina, it's going to start showing here throughout these first few rounds. Obviously, a best of 1 is a completely different to a best of 3. Obviously, if you lose that first map, you've got to sort of bounce back and take a better attitude into the second one, and we're just hoping to see Wrens here possibly even win this second map off the back of that first loss and take us all the way to the third map.
Absolutely. We're still very early in the game, and yes, we do see Calypso has locked away Oregon, so they are currently sitting a 1-map advantage or even 1 map closer to taking out that third title. But, you know, Wrens did have a relatively strong defense, albeit the Clash over in Cash may have been getting a bit cheeky, de-shielding there, and paid the ultimate price for it. So for all those Clash mains at home, just finish your downs. You don't need to be silly. That's assuming, of course, that she didn't get a full vision, so not entirely sure what's happening. We do move across to Cash and CC defense, a very classic hold for these guys. I like the pick onto Warden on landing. Now, classically, you'd see potentially a Maestro on there, or you'd see a Wilmai. Obviously, Wilmai being banned can't be used, or, you know, a Jaeger, someone out there to ensure that they secure Garage, remove any possible utility that the attacking team may have, and secure that for as long as possible. So Warden obviously bringing the flash-proof optics, if you will. You know, regardless of whether the attacking team throws flash utility up there, he's going to be able to see right through it. So we do see a west side clear from the attacking team, which is, I guess, the better way to approach it. Open up Spar Wall, take control of west side, identify where those roamers are placed, and start to work them back to site. Now, from a defending side, pretty classic setup with the Jaeger on the roam downstairs in case of any post-plant situations. Angry opens up, though, with a nice pick on a time for Pi, and there it is, Brunette going again, and that's Repel off the board, and we're a 4.5 minutes in, and we are already staring down the barrel of a 5v3, 4v3, unfortunately, as the clash is just not working for you. Habana has removed her from the board so far, as they now have west side. We see the Jaeger, though, up at the rear stairs. I don't know if the attacking team has any idea that Jaeger is playing there. The Alliance still has a utility able to use that to identify. No! There it is. Bosch does know that the rear stairs have been taken out, and that's Burnabear shut down. A nice quick flick and reaction from the Habana. They are now very comfortable and sitting very pretty right now. They full west side control. They do have Cash, a CC wall rather, open as well. So it's all going to come down to the last 60 seconds and how this attacking team is going to take control of it.
We definitely could see some rotates here for Calypso if they wanted to try a double-pronged assault. But, as I say, this Sporky is going to find Fish Noodle on the line. So no EE1Ds left for them to use in the execute. And Diana opening up Suicide here, possibly trying to find a pick onto Brunek. But with 30 seconds left in a 3v2, some lovely crossfires being held here by the defenders. The wall from Con will get opened up, though. So Angry is in a relatively good position here to deny the push into the bomb site. But Bosch on 50. Diana is going to choose to, I think, rotate over to the main breach. She is on the roof. I can't exactly see where she's located right now. There she is in the main breach now. She's coming to the site. She's going to go down to Sporky, and it's all up to Bosch. 50 HP and 3 frags to find. 9 seconds left for her to play with, and she's going to go straight into the waiting arms of Angry, sitting inside of that CC corner. And the Wrens are going to find another defensive round to tuck into their little book, and that is a relatively straightforward defense.
It's looking really good for Wrens at the moment. You know, Calypso, as we've said all throughout the evening, have a very somewhat aggressive play style. And, you know, we may have seen that where the Diana said, you know what, heck it, Shift W, let's go. But again, just that aggressive push onto site and the way they're approaching these, it's, you know, it's not really paying dividends for them currently on Clubhouse. So, you know, whether they're going to have to start to change up their style, I would like to see Lion's ability utilized potentially a little bit more. You know, I like that they're bringing, or Fish rather, bringing the line along. But I just question, you know, with her dying so early on, how that utility is being utilized within the round. So potentially see a little bit more from Lion, but again, it depends on how the round will play out. We do see Sporky, though, top fragging at the moment, sitting on 4 and 1, so putting in a lot of work right now with the Mozzie. We do see Az go, nope, no more Clash. I've had enough of her. I'm going to opt for Vigil instead. No more Zappy Shields. I'm just going to play Invisible Man running around and bullying these guys. And we do obviously go downstairs to a basement hold. Now, with the Sledge being a ban from Calypso, which again we mentioned was an incredibly smart ban, the kitchen area and the kitchen hallway just adjacent is classically an area you'll see Sledge go to complete work on and open up most of that floor to give them full verticality downstairs into that armory site. Now that Sledge is not there, they're going to be relying very heavily on the Buck to be able to do that, as well as, you know, potentially even the Zofia with her lifeline grenades as well. So keen to see how this round will play out. 2-0, we're looking in favor of Wrens at the moment, and 2 minutes 44 on the clock.
I definitely think that the Sledge ban was to benefit possibly just Rap on that Buck, because other than Brunek on Wrens, I haven't seen any of these other players play that role before of the Buck. Obviously, the C8 does kick a little bit like a mule if you haven't got it down to a T, and this could just be Rap's comfort pick. I mean, the Buck could definitely be directly in favor of the sledge ban just because they want to use specifically that operator. But I mean, unless it is a specific pick, it depends how she plays it. Obviously, the soft breach is going to be being largely relied upon, by the Buck. And if she doesn't get it opened up or dies even on this roam clear, we just saw Burnabear very close by hunting for that early frag. And I mean, she is still relevant on the board in terms of roaming, now supported by Az, though, over back towards the bar. And I mean, this could spell some serious trouble for Calypso if they don't manage to find these roamers sometime soon, because if you do leave someone in strip, we've seen it many times in other tournaments and games, that if you leave a player up inside of that strip bar area, it does come back to haunt you at the end of a round.
Yeah, absolutely. A little over halfway in. Fish getting aggressive into bar. Will they get a pick up onto Az? It does, but the refrag comes out. Burnabear is right there to collapse. Repel closing those angles in the pool. That shuts the Buck down. There goes your soft breach, but they do get the Vigil off the board. Fish Noodle on 1 HP in a dream before Buck is even being able to put into action. He is completely shut down. With a minute left on the clock, they are now going to have to rely on the utility of the Sophia, Habana, and Maverick to do all of their verticality work that they're going to need to secure before they can really commit to a push on site. On the flip side to that, as we've seen Calypso's playstyle, they may just go, you know what, we're confident in how aggressive we approach these attacks, and we're just going to simply hold Shift W, send it onto site, collapse onto the defending force, and take what we want. 35 seconds left on the clock, 3v4, so Calypso do have one more gun up, albeit 1 HP. It is an additional gun. There it is. Time for Pi, shutting down Angry Wolf. 2v4. This is the best position Calypso has been in so far for Clubhouse as we go down blue stairs. Does Sporky get it? No. Time for Pi is just built different. A headshot with the Zofia onto Sporky. Brunek trades that out with onto Deanna. A full collapse onto sites, all coming down the Valkyrie. A lot of pressure, and Time for Pi just went ham. It is time for Pi to step up, and she has done just that on the Zofia and clutched that round out in a healthy 3v1, giving Calypso their very first round on Clubhouse.
And I mean, what a way to take it. I mean, we saw just then, sort of at the back of Mozzie as they were going into blue, they had live drones on that bomb site. So Time knew exactly the positions of everybody that was still left on the board, where she needed to be, how she needed to push, how she needed to peek, etc., because her team was actively live droning her in those last sort of 15, 20 seconds of that round there. And I mean, as you can see from the round sort of how it played out, it obviously benefited them quite significantly. Pi obviously collecting those frags. Now, the only sort of bit where I went, this is going to be a bit of an issue, is when Brunek under the hatch sort of cleaned up the player with the diffuser as they dropped into the bomb site. And essentially, she could have just hidden, but there was slightly too long left for her to do any sort of hiding in the back of Armory, especially. There's not really too many places where you can hide away from the attackers. Now, I'd imagine we're going to see a relatively similar extension here, but the same reinforcements being bought by the Wrens, again, not opting to reinforce that extension into cash, and I'd imagine Az is going to be playing the same aggressive clash style that we saw last time that Calypso didn't really seem to be able to deal with, even after hitting Az with those Zofia stuns. We saw those coming out as well at the end of that round there, just before she went down. So, I mean, this definitely could spell trouble for Calypso if they can't deal with this clash. And as I say, this Burnabear early round is going to find those lifeline stuns in the hands of Pi, and there goes Zofia, not checking the bottom of red door there, and down goes the Zofia about 10 seconds, 15 seconds into this round.
That's a massive pick. Time for Pi rather being the clutch guard, if you will, of the previous round, shut down as she's only able to simply enter into garage door. I do want to make mention of the 6 pick because I did see an Amaru for a matter of seconds. I got very excited, but they 6 picked away, and Fish Noodle has stuck with the line. As disappointed as I am, it obviously makes a lot more sense to bring in Amaru to Clubhouse. Now, Az has opted away from the Vigil and back onto the clash. Now, has been somewhat successful maybe on the first round, not so much on the second, and opting away for the Vigil on the third. So there seems to be some consistency. I can see as wanting to really try to commit that clash and deny them as long as possible. I'm hoping that she potentially has learned from last time, and when it comes to downs, you definitely finish them quickly and not try to hang around as long as possible. But we do see an aggressive hold from the clash into CC, backed up by the mute as well. So to your point, having a lot of those angles open may work in the favor of what you've just seen there, because they are able to essentially wallbang through across into landing. But again, on the same side of that, it does mean that they've got a lot more to worry about from side holes as Repel starts using that buck, opening up red. Exactly what we was expect to see. Clash has had to retract back from that position. There is way too many angles to cover. Going to have to hold back in the back of construction now. Make sure suicide window is closed and monitored. As we see the mute sitting in the corner, Fish Noodle getting very aggressive on the line right now, trying to cover those angles. Not sure what's happening with the EE1D, but it doesn't look like it's being utilized at all, which would be ideal at this point in the round. 49 seconds left on the clock. We're in a 5v4, never mind, the 4v4 as Fish Noodle with the SR25 shuts down Angry Wolf. That's the mute, and boom, there goes Fish Noodle. So it's a refrag out from Sporky with the castle. The worst gun in the game, the UP9. No, as you cannot do the turtle. Unfortunately, Diana has said no, and shut you down with the Maverick and the M4. We are looking at a 3v3 with 22 seconds left on the clock. Burner Bear is still downstairs. She is going to need to get back onto site ASAP. They need the additional guns. Sporky holding very cheeky angles into Jim, playing time, but no, Deanna swings wide, goes hard. Repel on the C8 as well. There it goes, 1v2. Brunette shuts down the deny, but no, Repel is just built different. Flings on into Jim. That came down to a matter of microseconds.
So unfortunate there that Cade couldn't just get back behind that lifting rack after managing to get the person with the kit in their hands down on the floor, and the bomb wasn't going anywhere. But unfortunately, Maverick sort of knew what was going on. Diana picking up that frag through the gym wall there. Now they're going to try CC Cash, and the Warden is going to be bought again by Brunek, but a fuse here from Pi. We could see a 6-pick, I'd imagine. It looked like it wasn't necessarily what she was going for. Most likely going to see her bring that, the Zofia straight back, but Brew with the 6-pick onto a Malusi. So definitely a very, very, hard to deal with operator, especially for the garage hold and coming up red as well. You sort of see Malusi's placed over by the main staircases, and it makes getting into this bomb site a whole lot more difficult. And with Az bringing that clash again, if they play the clash in the relative areas to the Malusi, we could definitely see 30 to a minute seconds/minutes wise time wasted just due to the fact that they're going to have to clear every single one of these Malusis, as well as the clash shield is just going to be such a big problem for them to deal with. And I mean, they seem to be struggling with it so far. Unfortunately, Az couldn't pull off the bikini Bodhi last round, but I mean, she's still wasting a lot of time with that CCE shield.
Yeah, there's obviously a strat here these ladies have with the clash in terms of we're bringing her along to simply slow the push down and deny time. You know, we've seen that Az has, unfortunately, oh, there it is, Bernabé with another cheeky peek. And that's Fish Noodle. Capital shut down all of those Capital bolts completely off the board. Repel is just going for the pray and spray through the garage doors, but nope. Jaeger retracts, no free frag. And once again, Bernabé proving the worth on the Jaeger with a second spawn peak in a row. The question now will be, can you translate that early pick, which is a great momentum to have, particularly for Capital on this site, because he's such a strong operator, particularly when it comes to planting or even post-plant. Now you've got the momentum. How do you capitalize on that and ensure that you actually clutch out the round?
I mean, even for Rafters as well, Capital with those asphyxiation bolts, I mean, if Capital was still up, down goes Diana through the wall. Brunek collecting that frag. I mean, 2 early kills here. I mean, what? A minute gone / a minute 10 seconds gone. 2 picks in favor of Wrens. The clash still on the board. And I mean, as we were just talking about, that, oh, down goes clash from behind. So no more clash on the board, as is departing from this round. But as we were saying, that Capital clearing that Rafters position as well, it's going to be so much harder here for Calypso to get on into the garage if that's where they're aiming to go anyway. But Kit is going to be retrieved by Pi here. Now, I do believe we see Burnabear over by Strip. We could see a run out from that little connector door out to possibly try and get a pick onto Bosch or Rap here, but I don't think she's quite game enough to come out. Now, the peaks are going to come out here. Burnabear's going to find Rap out on that peak that we were just talking about, but Pi is going to manage to collect the player inside of Garage from outside the main breach. Now, a 2v3 is winnable. You've got 1 stun left in the pocket of Zofia and 3 flashbangs for Bosch. Now, whether or not Burnabear is going to be able to collect these frags, that she isn't. She's going to just miss the crosshair from Bosch, but now they know the relative position of the Jaeger, and they're going to be able to either find this pick or completely ignore them either way. Now, a pop flash here for Bosch, trying to blind the person holding that boost angle inside of Cash on the green box. Now, oh, so close to a headshot there for Pi. A little bit of damage. Delta angry, but Jaeger, Bandit, Sporky on the top of Red is going to find one. Burnabear goes down to Bosch, though, and 20 seconds left. The Habana needs to pick up the frags here to close this round out. Now, pre-fire. Unfortunately, a hard wall there for that one. Won't be able to collect it through the wall, but another pop flash here. Bandit is going to choose to just hide on top of the stairs, and all Bosch needs to do is find 2, but with the M590 in hand, I'd imagine Angry is going to close out this round, and 1 swift pump, and Wrens another 1 on the board.
These spawn peaks are really giving Wrens the momentum early on. You know, it said second round in a row, Burnabear on that Jaeger getting a cheeky spawn peak, and it's almost like it's thrown a bit of a spanner in the works. You see a little bit of cheeky old chat come out. Oh my, exactly right. My. Angry Wolf knows that Wrens are in a very good position right now. They've got some great momentum, but within saying that, we've seen this before. You know, we saw this last game where, you know, Wrens 4-2 on the half split. They went on to the, you know, they swapped sides, albeit that Wrens went on to the attack as opposed to the defense. And essentially 6 rounds, 5 rounds effectively in a row went to Calypso and they clutched the map out. So it is still anybody's game, but Wrens do have that momentum, particularly with Burnabear obviously warmed up after the first map, feeling very comfortable in the shoes of Jaeger right now. It's quite clear that she's very aware of where these players are going to spawn and how they're going to approach it. Second spawn peak in a row, will she go for a third? That is the big question that I'm waiting to see.
I mean, it's definitely showing that out of the lot of Wrens, Burnabear does have a lot, as I mentioned at the start, of that competitive experience. She's utilizing this right now and getting these early picks that are just benefiting Wrens so much. The amount of momentum that they're getting midway through these rounds is just, even at the start when they find these first pick or 2 picks even, I mean, Wrens are just sort of set up from there on out to win out that round. But I mean, Sporky as well, while I forget what I was going to say, the word, but the experience, that's the one that Burnabear has. She's matching the play right now in terms of frags. I mean, 6 for both of these players. And I mean, we've seen her clutch so many rounds in terms of the first map, not so many in the second map, but I mean, the frags that she is getting are definitely impactful. And Burnabear is just backing up these kills and getting them even more of a lead. And I mean, it shows. Wrens right now 3-2, and Calypso just seem to be a little bit lost on how they want to take these rounds. But Burnabear is getting tagged up on the top of main, and she's almost gone. Time for Pi. A lot of chip damage done at the start of that round there, but I mean, it still could be a Wrens round.
Yeah, Burnabear unable to get the third cheeky spawn peak in a row and had to retract back very, very quickly on the top of main. Obviously, Time for Pi getting very aggressive on the push. Jaeger retracted back into main and away from that position. We'll have to play the remainder of the round on a quarter HP. Time for Pi, though, when we look at the frag count, Time for Pi has stepped that up, almost approaching the 10k mark, and we're only a couple of rounds in. So from the attacking side, definitely one of the players to watch. I do like that Az has gone, you know what? Clash didn't pay out. Vigil doesn't play out. I'm going to opt for Mozzie and see what I can do and put that P10 Roni to work, which has been successful for Az previously. So a good adaptability to know, you know what, we've tried and tried and tried again. Clash is just not doing what we would want it to do. So we're going to opt to switch away from that and bring the Mozzie in. And there it is right there, Az first kill of the night onto Deanna as well. So that's a Maverick. Time for Pi, though, says no. The refrag comes out only a matter of seconds later. matter, but it does mean as now is getting some kills on the board. As we see the basement push start to take place, Barna holding angles, the floor around kitchen and kitchen hallway getting opened up with the explosives. 4v4, 49 seconds left on the clock. The hatches still remain closed. Never mind, the hatches looks like it's now open, or a C4 repel though on the Ash takes down Brunex, so that's the Valkyrie completely removed. We're now into a 3v4, 34 seconds left on the clock. Calypso are going to need to pick up the pace and start to get aggressive here. They do have kitchen hatch open, a pivotal hatch to have. Repel having the defuse. No, there it is. The frags come out, 2v2. That means defuse, I think, is left up in kitchen. Time for Pi is now in armory as well. Sporky, the soft yellow pings come out. He's going to go for the swing. Can he get the shots? No, he can't. Time for Pi, and it comes down to the simple frags, and Time for Pi once again clutching the round out on that Sophia, coming down to a matter of seconds once again, Proto.
I mean, the fact that Calypso were able to just win their ones there, bomb down, up on the kitchen hatch, and Pi just wasn't having a bar of it. She went straight in, collected her kills, and sort of went, yeah, I'll have the round, thanks, and that was it. I mean, we saw halfway through that round, the player that I mentioned, if you're not going to deal with the strip sort of area of the map, as collected up that one frag, also lit up Twitch to 1 HP. And I mean, that's where that position is really, really strong, but it was very well played by Calypso to able to get that refrag really, really quickly. But then also execute into the bomb site with like 30 seconds left and win those pivotal gunfights. I mean, if Pi didn't get those 2 kills there at the end, that definitely would have been a Wrens round. With the kit down on top of the hatch, I mean, arguably, that was a lost round, but Pi wasn't having a bar of it.
Absolutely, and I think from the defending force, I did miss who was still left standing, but, you know, the rushing down main basement hallway, I think, you know, my mind again, obviously heat of the moment, you want to, you know, things are happening, and you're not exactly sure what to do, but simply sending down that hallway should have been rather a play for time on that. Super unfortunate for Wrens. Again, they were having great momentum on that round, and they were definitely in the driver's seat for potentially taking that away, but as we said, time for Pi says it's time for some wins, takes the clutch out and brings us to 3-3 at the half. Now we get to see what Wrens are built of on their attacking side. We do see a combination of operators brought. We do have the Nomad today in Clubhouse for the first time, I believe, driven by Angry. And from a defensive side, pretty stock standard operator setup, as we are down in Church and Arsenal. So Fish getting aggressive on the back of blue with 4 players contesting that. Fish, you do not want to be overly aggressive there, as stock door does get opened. I think Fish is fully aware that there is more than one player playing there, so she's going to be very careful in the lesion, because that lesion can be quite critical late in the round with the amount of utility, or goo mines rather. Again, this looks like Fish is the roam right here, holding Garage. She's got a lot of angles to cover. Can she collect it? She does! And shuts down Burner Bear on the Ash. She's been such a strong defender, rather, on Clubhouse so far to get shut down so early. This may give Calypso the start of the momentum that they need to bring this map home.
I mean, this is where SSG sort of comes into its own. You've got your roamers upstairs, you've got all the hatches open. They can essentially just get one pick and run away. And I mean, right now, Fish is still pretty aggressive at the top of Secret, but I mean, you still have Diana and I believe Rappel upstairs still inside of the cash/con area. And I mean, look at the drone economy right now for the Wrens. I mean, the main droner for the team, which is going to be Bruneck on that ace, has already lost both, as well as Sporky, only one left in her pocket as well. And I mean, your entry fraggers are not the people that you want to be droning, but Sporky is going to collect Rappel, so evening things back out to a 4v4. And I mean, right now, the drone economy is starting to show through. I mean, 1 minute and 10 seconds, you only have 1 frag to show, and ultimately, you lost 3 breaching rounds, 3 soft breaching devices in turn of 1 C4. And I mean, Legion's still on the board, the goo mines are still going to be coming out, and they haven't even gotten rid of those castle barricades, so either Ace is going to have to use a Selma charge to get through, or they're going to have to hit it 12 times, and then it'll come down. And I mean, it's looking really good for Calypso right now.
Absolutely, and then 44 seconds left on the clock. Sitting there spamming your melee button on a castle wall does not seem like the ideal use of time. Sporky, though, does take down Time for Pi, so that's the Vigil removed and unable to roam, and Time for Pi being the top fragger for Calypso tonight is a very solid pick. Brunek, though, taking down Fish. Wrens are looking in a very good position right now, albeit poor on drone economy, though. 4v2 with 20 seconds in. Sporky drops into Moto, does get shut down by Deanna, who's driving on the mute. It's now a 3v2, 16 seconds. They need to collapse onto site or get this defuse down, which is happening right now in Armory. In 10%, they will get this down and take us to a post-plant situation with the attacking side looking very good on HP. Deanna taken down to 1 HP and a Dream. This is looking very tough. The C4 does not do the job as spots her through the smoke. That is the Mew shutdown. Bosch gets one onto Angry. 2v1, 28 seconds left on the clock. The timer is ticking. Bosch needs to retake site before she can start to defuse. A very tall task. Uses the super shorty to do a bait. Can she get? No, she can't complete the shots onto the ace. That is so unlucky. The bait was so close to being successful with that wall bang into the hole, because you can see right there that it worked, but she was just unable to land the shots correctly onto the ace. Very unfortunate, but very, very well played by the castle in a very high pressure situation.
Hats off to the ladies at Wrens. Put in such a bad situation from the start of that round, losing your primary soft breach in terms of being able to deal with that castle. And I mean, you just couldn't get into the hatched areas of the map, and still pulling that round win out of the back pocket. I mean, that is astronomical. Now, a tease from a cav here from Fish is going to get sixed off onto the Rook. Now, Calypso, very close to winning that out. That was a very winnable situation for the castle there. As you said, the bait so close to netting her that frag and ultimately putting it in a 1v1, and still plenty of time to get that kill and get on that defuse. But I mean, Wrens, they definitely wanted that round more than Calypso did, because put on the back foot from such an early stage and still coming back and winning that round with a diffuser plan, I mean, I'd be happy.
Yeah, I'd be absolutely beaming with joy if I was a Wrens player or a Wrens fan right now. And to your point around drone utility, and I think this is one of the strengths that Calypso has had throughout the entire evening, maybe not playing out as well as they'd want on Clubhouse, but definitely on Oregon, is the way they manage their drone utility. Late in the round, we could be talking 30, 40 seconds left. You can count the amount of drones that are being thrown out, 3, 4 at a time. So they are very active on drones and live droning and positioning them correctly. Whereas we see Wrens is not necessarily saying that they're a bit more carefree, but they're not necessarily as conscious of how many drones they have in play or potentially how many they have left. So this is maybe one thing that can come back to bite them in late rounds. Obviously, they got really, really lucky with the round that just happened. You know, potentially could have gone either way, but you know, it's definitely something to keep an eye on throughout the remainder of the game. So as sticking with the buck, the lineup is not changing too much. We do see Fish on the dock, though, which is the first time tonight playing on the back of Catwalk there. A really solid pick as well, paired up with the Jaeger. So I'd imagine there'd be a couple of ADSs there as well, just to make sure the dock doesn't need to use all of his stims straight away. And we do have Time for Pi being the back stairs roamer or rear stairs roamer on that Malusi with 2 minutes left on the clock. Wrens are shaping up, though, to look like they may be able to take this map for the first time tonight to match point.
I mean, we could easily see a 1-1 here, and I was saying this sort of at the split during the break. These two teams are definitely pretty evenly matched. I mean, obviously, Calypso did manage to almost reverse sweep Elevate, but I mean, Wrens definitely answering back the knocks on the door. And I mean, con control here for the attackers so far, as well as Sporky off screens losing a bit of damage, Boshi losing about 50 as well. And I mean, a lot of control so far. Angry is also going to kick things off with the first frag of the round on the Fish. Now that's garage control, but Time for Pi is going to enter back with one of their own on the Burner Bear. So it's a 1-for-1 trade right now. Two players still on 50 HP, so it's pretty even in terms of damage dealt. But utility on the board, 3 stims lost, 3 Ash charges and 3 breaching rounds again. So, I mean, they're getting pretty decent 1-for-1 trades in terms of utility at the start of these rounds, which does affect the end of the round now, as right now being forced back outside of con, getting about 50 HP removed from that Toxic Babe canister. And Rappel, a good throw from her. Now, are they going to be able to close things out? With garage control now for Wrens, they definitely have a more pivotal position here in terms of the end of the round. Now, Sporky, a very good position for her to be holding on this cross so that no one can come out of that single door. And with the main breach open as well, a default plant could go off here. Depends where Malusi and Bandit are, though, because if we see a C4 from below come out, that's definitely going to put a spanner in the works of Wrens. But the bomb's going to start going down, and Rappel's going to find the entry onto the site. Here comes the C4 from Pi as well, putting things quickly into a 2v4 in favour of Calypso. The bomb starts to go down again, but Boshi finds Angry, and it's all up to Sporky. Left on that plant, Diana coming up the stairs. Sporky's going to find one. Will she find any more? No, the bomb's going to start going down again. The shots through the floor now from Pi, and Rappel's going to jump straight on into the fray, and down goes Sporky. A swift little knife to finish things out, and the defenders answer back with a round of their own on the board.
Yeah, unfortunate for the Jackal being the last man or woman, depending on your perspective, standing in that round. So, interesting thing to note, though, and it's something that I caught out of the corner of my eye, that Jackal still had all 3 scans available at the 30-second mark. Now, as a Jackal player, I would have imagined that potentially utilizing that utility earlier on may have swung the round in their favor. I mean, the whole concept of bringing the Jackal along is to be able to identify those roaming ops. Not using that utility. Now, it may be a case of, she's booted up that utility, if you will, not noticed any footprints and has been unable to identify them. But again, a bit of a questionable thing, having that much utility with such a powerful operator that late into the round.
We saw the very elusive 6-pick there from Az. Twitch to Twitch. Guys, they don't know that I've 6-picked, and she's going to be bringing the exact same operator. Now, Diana is going to be opting to try out Az's role on that clash, and we're going to see if the way that Calypso choose to utilize this operator is more beneficial than the way Wrens did, but that's going to be hard to do because Wrens definitely wasted a lot of time. Now, this is the adaptation that I was talking about, albeit Diana is still reinforcing that outside double wall on the main balcony here, but the reinforcements on the front are going to make holding inside of cache a whole lot easier for Diana, and I'm assuming Bosch may be close by, but if it is Bandit, she may retreat back to the main wall, and indeed she will be. So Fish Noodle, I'd imagine, will be the one playing close to Diana here, but it looks like the attackers are going to sort of miss up the wall right now, because the hard breacher is nowhere near close to opening up CC and is in fact over on the other side, more west of the map, trying to get an early pick down the main stairs here from on top of the ventilation unit, but she's going to go straight up to the roof, and I'd imagine we'll either see the main wall or the CC wall being opened up here very, very shortly by the Wrens. Now, Angry Wolf coming up to Suicide, time for Pi and Fish Noodle, as well as Diana, all over on this side of the map, and also we see there those head height holes opened up into the construction wall, which means that they're going to be able to be supported from inside the bomb here. Now, Ace opting not to open up that wall due to the fact that it is bandited, and Thatcher obviously not in play for this matchup. You'd expect the Twitch drones from Az to come in here and get this utility, but due to the fact that Fish and Diana are so aggressively playing out on Suicide, it's going to be relatively impossible for Az to get a drone in here.
Yeah, Clash is doing what Clash should be doing, which is that denial, right? And to your point around reinforcements, having that cache wall reinforced is definitely playing in their favor, which is something that the Wrens unfortunately didn't do at the time, which left a lot of soft wall closure. Obviously, Fish has full control of... Okay, that's Cast a Curse. If I've ever seen it, that is Cast a Curse. And Angry Wolf has completely shut down whatever hold Fish had on the top of Red. So back to the point I was trying to make, she had it until the Nomad decided to peek up and over on the catwalk. Time for Pi. Can she get the refrag? Yes, she can. Can she go for a second? She knows that the rotate's going to come through the cache wall. There it is. No, she lands some of the shots, but not all of them. Burner Bear onto Rapal, gets the refrag now. And there it is from Suicide. Sporky swings in, shuts down time for Pi. We're in a 4v2 with 58 seconds left on the clock. It's all going to come down to the Clash and the Bandit. Probably the longest we've seen a Clash alive in this game so far. Nevertheless, Curse, she's been shut down. The trades and the frags come out. 2v1 with 44 seconds left on the clock. Wrens, you can pump the brakes, slow it down. You have time. Any utility for drones left, get them into action. You have some available, use them. Bosch with that C4 in hand. The question is, are they going to hold the angle? Yes, the swing comes out, but the shield, yes, he does land the shots. It's a 1v1 with 23 seconds left on the clock. Bosch is absolutely playing out of her mind right now. She has taken the time to slow it down, think and listen to those footsteps. Sporky now, defuse in hand. The plant's going to go into Jim. Will Bosch read into this and be able to swing in time? 6 seconds, the plant is going to go down. We're now in a post-plant situation. Will she get the frags? No, but does that mean Sporky is able to walk away from this unscathed? A little bit of a zap from the bandit charge left on the wall. All she has to do is protect it. Will she get the shots? Yes, she does. Shots down Bosch, who rotates into Jim, and that is a round in the pocket of Wrens.
So close there from Boschi. The default cam not being shot by the Wrens, almost costing them that round. The Z pings were coming out onto Az at the top of main. The Z pings were coming out after the bomb gone down. Sporky was being called out actively to Boschi, but unfortunately couldn't quite win the gunfight inside of the gym hallway. Now, a very good round from Wrens, managing to get that bomb down. Calypso were really close to having that, though, off the back of Boschi. I mean, Boschi could have ultimately made that go either way. And unfortunately, Sporky did win that gunfight now, but we're going to see a Cade pick here for the downstairs site hold as well as a Maestro. And I'd imagine that we're going to see a switching gears here from Calypso. We're going to play a little bit more reserved, and we're going to try and put these rounds on the board so that we can close this game out and win the series 2-2.
When we look at the kill count, Time for Pi sitting on 14, 4 and 5 with Sporky on 11, 3 and 6. It's quite easy to identify the top frags of the night. Sporky and Time for Pi putting in work for both of their teams. Now, Wrens, we have been in this position before. The question is, can you keep the momentum that you've had on Clubhouse so far, or will you let this round, the final round, slip through your fingers and give this over to Calypso? As we said, we are in a best of 3. So if Wrens clutch this map out and take home Clubhouse, we will go to the decider, which is Cafe. However, on the flip side of that, if Calypso clutch this out, being that there's their second map that they would theoretically win, that means they walk home with the $500 third place prize, courtesy of Ubisoft.
I mean, 100%. This right now could go either way, as you metaphoricized before. It's a bit like tennis, back and forth with these rounds right now. I mean, 5 and 4 is a very close matchup so far. First Aerocam's going to come out here and it's going to get shot relatively quickly by Fish, but the Yana is going to be on the drone. That actually fooled me for a second there, down in the bottom of drone. I thought that was the actual player. Wow, Az, you've even pranked the casters. Not only have you gone and scared the heck out of Fish Noodle, you've scared me as well, because I thought that was easily a free kill for Az right there. But the Yana replicator can't actually shoot back, so fortunately for Fish Noodle, that wasn't the real Az, and Az is actually up on the rafters enjoying her time on her drones, and she's going to jump straight back on her real drone now, looking to sort of get some information for Burner Bear here, possibly sort of executing more towards the kitchen main stairs area. Now, from what we can see, roamers have moved back towards the bomb site. We can see 4 through the floor here right now, though, so I'm not too sure where the last remaining player for Calypso is, but if they are still on the top/middle floor, we could definitely see a flank here coming from that strip bar area. Oh, sorry, it's Rappel in Dirt, so we have located the last player. So Dirt Push is pretty much out of the question here, especially due to the fact that Rappel is an absolute machine on that smoke. Now, it looks like we're going to see a blue/church split, I would imagine. Fish Noodle starting things off with a frag onto Sporky. Now, the real Az, not the Yana, is going to be coming down into the generator area here, hunting for this refrag onto Fish Noodle, but too many angles to clear. The Malusi is going to go off and give away her position, but a lovely shot from Az. Down goes Fish Noodle into the middle side/ladder portion of this round, and the first smoke here for Rappel coming out from Dirt. The rotate is going to get caught out by Az, though. 2 for her right now. On for the ace attempt if she can find any more. Sees the third, but goes down to Diana, so shut down inside of Generator, and Wrens looking good, possibly for a win here, but Ash Rush being opened up now. Z-Ping as well. The Malusi, costing the life of the defender, but Boschi finds Burner Bear. It's a 2v2, Boschi with 2, and this is looking like a Calypso round. Kit is down 20 seconds, and Angry needs to find 2 frags, but pushing through a Malusi Ash Rush is going to be opened up, as well as shield in the main hallway. And this round is pretty much going to be a write-off unless Angry can do something amazing right now. The pre-fire is so close to collecting the Malusi's head there. 40 bullets in the AK, and it's not going to be enough. Time for Pi. Time for Buy, and she closes out that round. Calypso evening things back out.
I'm going to take some notes after this, and I'm going to come prepared with more dad jokes because you seem to be stepping it up time and time again. Definitely time for padding those stats there at the end, getting a cheeky shot onto the Nomad, or what remained of her, at the bottom of main stairs. And there's so much to unpack on that round. You know, Az has definitely found the groove tonight, and I really want to make mention of Burner Bear, who may not have been playing her strongest on Oregon, has definitely kicked it into high gear on the Ash on Clubhouse, pushing upwards of near 10k. So chasing Sporky for that top fragging place. So seems the girls do have the consistency right. It's just these picks that are coming out of nowhere that they're either ill prepared for or just not winning on their 1v1. So the round has gone in the favor of Calypso, which takes us to 5-5. There is just that one precious round for Wrens to bring them to match point. The question is, though, will they be able to do it? They've been very successful on CC and Cash so far tonight, whether that be on defense or even on the attack. So in the case being the attack, the question is how are they going to utilize those operators? There's no real change to the lineup in terms of utility that they're bringing. We do see Fish Noodle opt rather for the Rook in this case. This is coming down to the wire, and I think the girls are starting to feel the pressure of, hey, if we don't start to pick up that momentum that we had only a few rounds ago, that this may go in favor of Calypso, and it's almost starting to read into the, you know, particularly time for Pi rather, or Deanna are starting to get into their comfort zone, going, hey girls, we've got something here. We might be able to clutch this out.
I mean, even Boshi on the Bandit with 9 for herself, as well as Rapple on the Smoke. I mean, not so much frag-rich numbers, but utility-wise, these girls know how to use their utility better than some of the LPL teams that I've been casting. And I mean, it is absolutely amazing to see the ability of both of these teams to use their utility in such a way that they can benefit off both ways, at both ends of the spectrum. I mean, as even fooling me that round with the Replicator, Fish Noodle's going to get angry though at the start of the round, so there's a lot of that utility gone. A C4 from below isn't going to connect onto anybody inside of Logi. Now she's looking for the regress too for time for Pi, and she is retreating all the way back downstairs into the basement, and she's choosing to run. I said it the round before, time for Pi. She's gone, she's left out of the area, she's collecting her kills, and she is going to move on to better places. Now Diana holding down Con. I mean, if I was Wrens, Calypso definitely have found their groove, especially Pi and Boshi, as well as Diana. I mean, right now, everybody on Calypso is putting in their 5 pence worth, and they're making the most of it.
Yeah, interestingly enough, that external con wall hasn't been reinforced, so they could have potentially gotten some early positions. 2 very powerful picks straight up, both in Ash and the Zofia, so that is both the frags off. I thought it wasn't reinforced. Maybe I read that wrong. No, it isn't reinforced. Okay, he's just opening a rotate for himself. So it's definitely reading that Wrens are, not to say they're losing momentum, but they're definitely feeling the pressure that they're at the pointy end of the competition, and they are fully aware that if they don't start to get some rounds back under their belt and bring this map out, that they unfortunately may miss out on this 3rd place. Fish Noodle, at your point as you were commentating, managing to get a kill from the Rook and doing the full set of Cast a Curse and going, you know what, I want to get some kills on the board. You're talking about me not getting much. So Fish gets one on the Rook as well, and you see time for Pi obviously stacking up the kill feed as well. As with the G36C getting one, but Fish Noodle says, no, I would like you back, please. And that's Fish Noodle shutting down as we are in a 2v4. So unfortunately, the flawless round has disappeared for Calypso. Wrens has a lot of fight to do. 36 seconds left on the clock. This is looking very, very good for Calypso to once again take us to match point. Sporky is down and out. It's now all up to Brunek with that AK. Can she rather put it to good use? Knows there's someone hovering around top of red. It's a 1v4. The Malusi Wobwobs are put into play. Can she get one to pad the stats? No, she can't. Time for Pi. The cheeky down vertical play. Was that through, mate? That was through stage hatch into Con. That is such a cheeky angle. Very well played. Time for Pi. is so comfortable right now, she might as well be reclined in her gaming chair because she is just running rings around this attacking team right now. And Calypso do exactly what we said they were going to do and take us to match point on Clubhouse.
I mean, speaking of gaming chairs, I mean, Pi's performance, I mean, she could be looking at a new one sometime in the future, shooting for that MVP. I mean, hey, don't put words in anybody's mouth, but I mean, the last 2 maps, I think she's almost towards the 30 kill end of the spectrum here. And I mean, it's definitely very close, but as we saw so many rounds ago, the Amaru is going to be bought by Burnabear here, but we do see a Frost being bought by Calypso, which is ultimately any Amaru main's worst nightmare. Flying through a window only to hear the snap as a Frost mat sort of closes around your leg. Now, it just depends which window she's going to play roulette with and sort of end up in the building. But I mean, look at the scoreboard right now. Burnabear with 10 for herself. And I mean, Pi as well, obviously, we already know. She is fragging out of her mind. And I mean, Calypso right now definitely found their stride and are just sort of going with it. And Wrens, that round definitely couldn't seem to quite keep up with Calypso.
Absolutely. I am fully ready for this round. I have both an Amaru send and a Frost with Frost mats on the board. This is like, for me, as a Siege fan, this is heaven come early. This is just so fantastic. I can't wait to see how Burnabear utilizes that, whether she just shift W's onto site, gets an ace Amaru rush and says, thanks for the round, we'll take it to OT, or gets completely shut down in a moment of glory by a Frost mat or someone watching a window. So we see Calypso finishing up their prep work to do exactly what they did before. Obviously, in a gym and bedroom hold. They don't have the clash this time around, so they are going to opt for the Frost to use the Frost mats to potentially, or fingers crossed, slow down the defensive push. The Amaru sent it all the way to suicide and has now hit the brakes, fully aware that if she does send it into sight, I wouldn't consider it technically throwing, but hey, she's just having a bit of fun. Cheeky peek into that suicide into CC. Now she knows that it is reinforced. She's unable to do anything as the remainder of the team start to comms, get their drones up, figure out the positions of all these different players. There is no Roma downstairs as we see the remaining defending force holding upstairs, and as on the Zofia, gets the opening kill onto Repel. That's the smoke. That is a huge pick so early in the round. Those smoke vapes will not be able to use to deny time nor defuse, and the team that are still left remaining on the defense will have to rely on their gun skill and remaining utility, because the smoke is now off the board with a minute 30 left in the clock. Fish says, I want to get into the action as well, and shuts Burnabear down on the Amaru. 3v4, time for Pi gets in on it as well, and that's the Nomad shut down and out. 3v4 with a minute 22 left on the clock. They have a lot of ground to cover and unfortunately not a huge amount of control. But as I say that, as shuts down Diana, time for Pi has also been knocked as well. We're technically in a 3v2. Can that Fish get the revive up? I think is possible. Don't think that the Zofia has the angle, and there it is, the revive. 3v3, but if you combine the HP of both Time for Pi and Fish, you barely have half a player. But as he said, a gun is a gun. 3v3, 52 seconds on the clock. Wrens, this is looking really good for you. If you clutch this out, you will take us to overtime for the first time tonight. Brunette getting the plant down. Sporky on the Bosch. That's a solid pick. 40 seconds left. Gets away from a 2v1. Time for Pi and Az going tit for tat. It is now down to Brunette. Will and Fish Noodle get the cheeky peek and the kill onto the defuse. The defuse is a post-plant situation. The pre-fire comes through, but Brunette is just better. Shuts down Fish Noodle, and we, ladies and gentlemen, are going to overtime.
And a very, very winnable round for the defenders. Unfortunately, that C4, I don't know if it was shot or it didn't manage to go off where it needed to go off, but the trade ultimately, as dropping down the hatch and picking up Pi there downstairs, left that in a very winnable position for the Jaeger. But unfortunately, Ace had just tucked herself quite a little bit too far into the lifting rack. Now, Jackal wasn't actively holding the cross there. It seemed he had sort of moved off towards, moved off more towards that con angle because she knew that the rotate was going to be sort of somewhere in this round. But Fish managed to slip on by back into the bomb site. Now, unfortunately, couldn't quite net that frag. But if she had, we definitely would have seen a Calypso win because Jackal was nowhere to be seen in terms of that crossfire there for that clutch.
Yeah, and Wrens so far tonight have been quite consistent on both their attacking and defensive half. So they do start on the attack, which theoretically means if we go to max OT, they will finish up on defense, which they started off quite strongly so early on in this map earlier in the night. So they are primed and set, and bringing us to OT is probably the strongest that we've seen both these teams go at it, particularly in Wrens, who obviously come up against Calypso before in a BO1, and we're unfortunate to win against them on Oregon and losing earlier on Oregon tonight. They're in the best position that they've been in probably against Calypso this entire series. So it's just maintaining that momentum they've got and bringing this map back to overtime. I can already hear the comms and the girls screaming at each other, high-fiving virtually, bringing this to a position that is looking really good for them to take this map out and potentially take us to Cafe on the third map. Now, in terms of operator lineup, we're not seeing much of a change from both the attacking or defending side. They've got a formula that is clearly working. We are downstairs in Church and Arsenal, which the Wrens have definitely won before. So the question is, can they do it for a second time? I expect Calypso to play a lot more cautiously because they are now probably the closest they've been to the pointy end. Burner Bear peeking into blue. Does Fish know that's happening? Goes for the swing and just misses it. Can he catch him? Yes, she does at the top of blue. Fish Noodle completely unaware of where that Ash was positioned, and the opening pick goes to Wrens on overtime.
The aggression from Burner Bear equaling that of Calypso that we've seen before. I mean, I don't even think Fish knew that she was right behind her, hot on her heels, ready to pick up that frag. And I mean, Calypso, if you are defending on a bottom floor bomb site on Clubhouse, all you essentially need to do is just hold and wait. If you're in a situation like this, I mean, obviously you need to get a little bit aggressive. And speaking of aggression, here comes Az down the dirt tunnel, a live drone all the way into the bomb site. Down is going to get spotted and down. So 2 kills here on the board for the attackers. 1:30 left in the round, and Az, good position here to hold the cross back in from blue. But Rappel close on the door, could swing with the M590 here. She's going to switch out, a hot switch and a hot pump. Down goes the Zofia. Az taken out. Rappel loses a lot of HP, but deals a fair amount of damage to Angry as well as Brunek, but ultimately killed out by the ace. Now in a 4v2, Wrens, a lot of aggression on this round here, and they could definitely make something of it, but Sporky is also going to find the Malusi off screen, and it's all up to Bosch on the cave. Does have a C4 available to use. A lovely pre-fire from Bosch, a headshot through the wall. Down goes Angry, and they the Z ping, or the red ping even, onto Sporky. That's 2. She needs 2 more to make this round work. The red pings are running rampant right now and so close to taking out Burner Bear, but the Ash, the R4C, a higher fire rate and ultimately a little bit more damage dealt there, winning that gunfight through that hole into blue. And Wrens around on the board, and we are definitely looking like this has 3 map potential. Cafe Dostoevsky, we could be there soon.
Wrens, where was this aggression 13 rounds ago? You were onto site pushing the defending team in less than 60 seconds. This is by far the most aggressive we have seen you all night, and I'm sure everyone at home is loving it more than anything. The Cade on the previous round, Boshi, almost clutching that out. They were some amazing wall taps, getting herself a double kill, bringing it down to a 2v1, a completely winnable situation. But unfortunately, the Ash, driven by Burner Bear, I believe, able to click that a little bit better. It's 1 round away from Wrens. This is at the very, very pointy end for them. I can't imagine that the pressure that they're feeling right now, that they've got some serious headwinds against the Calypso now on the attacking side. All that Wrens need to do right now, clutch this round out, and to your point, Proto, we'll be going to Cafe, the third map, the deciding map for tonight, on who's going to work away with that third place prize, courtesy of Ubisoft. And I promise you, I will learn basic English at some point tonight.
Ubisoft AU, thank you so much. And maybe on the sponsor as well, we could get some English tutoring for Dark, possibly on the side, a little bit of an under the table deal here. But Calypso on their attacking half, we did see them win a fair few rounds, quite considerably sort of their way. 1vx's in favor of Calypso. And I mean, right now, those walls on CC are going to be reinforced, and that clash is being brought back by Az. Now, Calypso did struggle to deal with this clash when it was their turn to have a go at attacking. Now, Fish bringing back this line, we did notice last time, as you pointed out a couple of times, those EE1D charges. I don't think out of every line pick that we've seen, one has gone off. I don't think a single EE1D has actually been popped here for Calypso when they choose to run this line. Now, Pi deep inside of CC, and she's already faced with Az on the clash. Now, we see that that con wall as well is reoed off and actually electrocuted. So no long angles into the con/cache area from inside of Master, but I don't think Wrens are too worried right now in terms of what Calypso are doing, because other than the fact that they have the con window open, Diana might be able to find Mute, and she indeed will. Down goes Angry as well as Clash and Calypso. We could definitely be seeing a max OT here from both of these teams if Calypso keep this up and find these remaining 3 frags. I mean, those 2 frags were found relatively risk-free, and I mean, right now, it's looking really good for Calypso.
Yeah, minute 30 left on the clock, and as much as we love you, you keep going back to this clash, and it continues to be unfortunately unsuccessful for you every single time. Angry, unfortunately, stepping back a bit too far in construction, getting
Diana!
Off the window. No, Diana with the defuse as well has fallen off the building on overtime match point. That is a 10 to 15 second delay, and that is definitely going to throw you off the momentum that you had. Now dealing with a quarter HP. Sporky 2v5. Time for Pi. Picks it back up though. Manages to get out the castle. We may be staring down max OT right now. Diana picks up that Maverick blowtorch and gets back to what she was doing and opening that spar wall. It's all going to come down to the Kaid and the Bandit holding in bathroom and over in office. Sees the Maverick being done. We do have a couple of grenades, sorry, a couple of C4 still left in pocket. Again, the fish noodle on the line not being utilized, so either their drone work is exceptionally good or they're bringing line along as a worst case scenario. The knees are exposed, and Cade takes full advantage of that and shuts the warden down. There is the very first EE1D in a total of 13 rounds. Fish swings in onto Bandits, now all down to Brunek in an unfortunate position. Calypso clutched that out and bring us to max OT on match/map point. If Calypso win this, they win the finals on max OT. If Wrens win this, we go to a third decider map. I kid you not, I'm sitting on the very edge of my seat right now.
Calypso, I mean, we said at the start of that round, their attacks, I mean, on Clubhouse so far have just been really, really concise and to the point, and they just get things done. I mean, in the bomb site, as you said, the first E1D, I think Lion was also sporting the DMR that round. And I mean, if any 2 people were going to clutch that or at least give it a really good go, it was going to be Brunek and Sporky there on the last 2. I think those were the last 2 up. But like either way, it was just Calypso knew what they wanted to do, and the only thing that was going to ruin that round for them there was Maverick Diana falling off of the roof. And I mean, if the kit wasn't retrieved, say they accidentally left it or something, that would have spelt the end of that round. And I mean, that was definitely something scary for Calypso, but now they're going to be able to finish things off as hard as they possibly could, and they're going to take it to CC, arguably one of their better bomb sites, and we're going to see if Wrens can bring us to the third map, or are Calypso going to have an easy breezy walk in the park and they're just going to anchor down on the bomb site and they're going to win this one.
Yeah, both teams have been quite successful on this particular bomb site, both doing well in defending it, and both obviously being Wrens and Calypso. I guess the question that I have looking back at the previous round that unfolded that obviously sent us to max OT with Az and the Clash pick. Now, we've seen Az do this numerous times on the gym bedroom bomb site. I would like to understand, obviously there's a strategy, right? They've done something in scrims, they've worked out what the use of Clash is, but to point, she hasn't been successful and is classically the opening pick of the round. So, you know, had Az opted for, say, a Mozzie or another operator that she'd been successful on earlier in the night, would that have swayed the outcome? Obviously, we won't know that, but again, something to consider. We see Ace managing to get at least a little tiny hole open and move over to get the second one open. The Bandit, unfortunate enough, being unable to trick that wall. That will mean that the CC wall is now completely open, fully exposed for sight. In terms of operator lineup, we don't see much change, although the Fish Noodle has opted for the Rook, which again, she has been quite successful. And when we look at the utility, bringing, oh no, Angry. Okay, when you saw Deanna do it, it's not a fun thing to do and you should repeat it. It's an accident. So Deanna also, sorry, Angry falling off the roof, Deanna shutting down Burner Bear 4v5. Girls, this is not really what we were expecting from a max overtime. It happens to the best of us. It's just unfortunate. It's on such a sharp point or such a late point in the game. Does mean that Angry will operate for the remaining 1 minute and 25 seconds on 1/4 HP.
I mean, it's a bit tit for tat, isn't it? I mean, you jump off the roof, I'll jump off the roof. I mean, it's not skydiving, it is competitive Rainbow Six. And I mean, it's definitely not beneficial in any way, shape or form, and I do not advise jumping off roofs, especially in officials. Now, it's going to put them in a bit of a disadvantage, and obviously Fish Noodle finding that frag as well. Onto the player outside of Breach, who rappel another one off screen, and the kit is down, and Sporky and Az need to, well, they need to clean this round out, and as I say that, it's all up to Sporky in a 1v5. Now, if they pull this off, it'll be the best comeback that Wrens have ever had. And she's going to start things off with a frag on to Diana inside of Con. Now, one is great, but you need 4 more. And with one downstairs still, I believe, Pi and all of the toxic babes accounted for starting to come out now. C4 as well. Somehow that doesn't kill Sporky landing at her feet. Now, the second smoke as well is most likely going to clean it up. And I mean, Calypso, we said it at the start. If any team was going to win this 2-0, it was going to be them. They already had the previous win on the map that we saw them go to first, Oregon, and it's GG, well played all round. The skydiving accident sort of cost them that round, I think. Arguably, if we didn't see the fall from the roof there, we may have seen a round coming out from the Wrens, taking us to that third map. But right now, Calypso, if I was you, I'd be very, very happy. That is $500 dues secured going into your pocket, and you definitely have a couple of players on your roster that could take the MVP as well. And I mean, that looks good on the mantelpiece.
That was a very intense and really well played final map for the evening. Probably the most aggressive that we've seen Wrens, and I guess taking it from, you know, what was the previous round and stepping it into a gear that we just haven't seen the Wrens do so far. They really played their heart out. Just unfortunate with certain points of the competition. And, you know, we mentioned Az in the Clash, obviously not panning out the way that they would like. Obviously the parachute jumping competition that was happening between the teams, that necessarily didn't go in either of their favor as well. But I think all in all, both teams played exceptionally well. The scoreboards, you know, reciprocate that feeling. The kill count is definitely up there as well. So as we said, Calypso, you are now $500 richer and secure third place for season 4 of the XP Esports Women's League. So a massive congratulations. It has been a long road for these girls and they have won it. So great congratulations to Calypso. Unfortunate to Wrens, but again, they played their absolute heart out. So massive props to them, and definitely as, you know, members of that team, they can be really proud of the performance that they put on for us tonight. And as a caster / viewer, I certainly had a lot of fun. I don't know about everyone else in chat, but that was a great game and very well played to everyone involved.
That match was definitely a very good one to watch, especially that second map all the way to 8-7. And I mean, you can't really complain if you're Calypso, obviously $500 richer. You finish in third place, better than fourth, but ultimately a top 4 finish either way in a tournament like this with the competition you got to take into account. I mean, Nocturnal, Elevate, I mean, some really, really good teams. And to make it all the way to the top 4 and play in the playoffs and sort of go up against and go round for round with one of those teams that almost reverse swept Elevate. I mean, and even Nocturnal gave a really good run for their money. I mean, if I was Wrens, nonetheless, you lose 2-0, but I would be very, very happy with my performance tonight. if I was on that team. And I mean, a top 4 finish, as I said, you can't really complain about it. And you were so close to taking it to map number 3, but unfortunately, Calypso closed it out.
Absolutely. And before everyone sits and going, well, season 4 is completely one and done. Isn't that sad? Well, guess what? Season 5 is just around the corner. So as you can see on your screen now, signups are live on the 22nd of April. So if you want a chance to win cash and get a part of the amazing sponsors that have come on board to support this amazing league, get a team together. Season dates 10th of June, the 5th of August. So about 9 weeks in total, double round robin plus your finals, up to 8 teams. A total prize pool once again of $3,000 courtesy of Ubisoft Australia. So some amazing work, and if you've got what you think it takes, definitely take part in season 5, because as you've seen, it can be very much anyone's game if you've got the synergy and the right players to play in it.
I mean, if I was a competitive women's league team, this is where I would want to be competing. I mean, the level of competition, the teams involved, I mean, the players that are here. I mean, some of the skill from some of these girls is better than some of the people that I've seen play at even higher levels. And I mean, some of them are so good. And we saw so many of these girls absolutely show up to Time for Pie, Burner Bear, Bruneck. I mean, it is absolutely awesome, but unfortunately, at the end of the day, it is going to go in favor of Calypso. And other than that, it's going to be a GG, well played all round. And thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I'm Proto, and joined by me tonight is going to be Dark. And thank you so much to XP for having both of us on to cast the game tonight. It was such a good game. Any final words, Dark?
Absolutely not at all. Thank you to XP Esports for putting on such an amazing competition for these ladies. And thank you to all the teams for taking time out of your busy lives to not only compete, but also entertain all the viewers at home. And of course, to all of our amazing sponsors who have taken part in this amazing competition. Thank you once again. To all the viewers at home, have an amazing night. Thank you for tuning in. And we look forward to seeing you at the start of season 5. Have an amazing night.
Enter into a new dimension of creation. The power to design, animate, and edit. Cool and quiet as you create, with breathtaking graphics performance. The way you create will never be the same.